right, welcome on in to a brand new week on Oh So Curious. It is DCU Daily on Oh So Curious. It's been one heck of a weekend. Somehow Mitch returned, Lindsay died, but also Sam Neill passed away. We'll talk about only one of those things today, as you can imagine. Well, there's also the new Digger trailer. I watched the trailer and I'm like, you know what? I only half know what this movie is, but there's definitely some good ideas for I'm like, okay, so it's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's got a whole lot of Tom Cruise. Excited to talk about it. We have our first official concept art for Avengers Doomsday, which confirms a lot of the leaks that we were getting are real for that footage that got leaked with the ILM, watermark on it. So yeah, we'll talk about that, of course. We got some more Spider-Man Brand New Day, stuff to get into. Of course. Do we have a Magneto for the MCU? No, I'm not talking about Sir Ian McKellen. I'm talking post-Secret Wars. Did a lot of Marvel stuff. And of course, James Gunn hinting at maybe not one, not two, but maybe 3 Green Lanterns in the upcoming Man of Tomorrow. We'll get into that. We'll get into all of that and so much more, of course. I didn't even talk about Mount Rushmore Monday, everybody. You guys submitted a record amount of picks. We'll go through all of them. We'll compare our notes. To do that and so much more, let's hit that news intro and get the show started.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number 2.
All right, Mr. I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
You're
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne. I like that. And you're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chords.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the world needs now.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay, it's gonna be a packed show. I didn't even mention there's a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie in the works, a new Nova movie, and it was a TV show. Now it's gonna be a movie, so we'll get into that later. Of course, we also have to talk about our first look at Crystal Lake. So Jason and Freddy doing well for themselves. It's gonna be a fun show. It's gonna be a packed show, as Mondays usually are. And while Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson ain't changing the hierarchy of power in the world of Moana, Michael Jackson certainly has changed the hierarchy of power at the box office this year. So to do that and talk to me about all that and with you and so much more, we've got John. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I actually woke up at a decent time today, so that was fun. And I went to sleep at a decent time yesterday, so that's good. I'm still tired because, that's just the idea of being an adult
default
nowadays.
mode.
Is just you're consistently tired, all the time.
I
all
hear
day, every
that.
day.
Dude, I don't know if you guys can tell, but my voice is on the rocks. So if if it craps out at some point during the show, I apologize, but hopefully we'll be able to get through it all. We got Caleb in the chat. Crazy couple of days. Yeah, I know. Holy shit. A lot has happened over the weekend. Freddie and Jason, well, his mommy are back, baby. Yeah, of course. Monique is here. Howdy, y'all. Marvelous Monday to you. It's skillet ham and potatoes at my house. Better than what I'm having right now. I got pizza rolls. Shrimp. Monique, Caleb just had shrimp. And you know what? Shrimp is good. Shrimp is good. And hello to Sunju in the chat too. Of course, as more of you guys are filing in, John, before we even get to the box office report, something I felt like this was one of those things where we talk about celebrity passings and well-known names that we bring into our households, and they kind of, to us, they almost become like a part of our family. And that's who Sam Neill was. For most people, Sam Neill, he was the doctor in Jurassic Park, that shot, but then you go way beyond that. There's so much more to the man himself. I believe it was on this show maybe a couple of years ago, maybe I forget how long it's been, but we talked about that he got diagnosed with a form of cancer. I'm forgetting what it was exactly, but and he was battling this and had been for a while now. over the weekend, we found out just yesterday that Sam Neill, finally lost that battle and passed away. Of course, known for...
That's not true. He was cancer-free when he died.
Oh, was it true?
Due
Okay.
complications with something else. Because
All
I
right,
remember
okay.
specifically him
I read this
saying
earlier. Okay, so it might have been clarified. I
that in
apologize.
April he said he was cancer-free and couldn't wait
Okay.
to do more roles, and then so they called this passing very sudden and
Wow.
not expected. So he did not pass away
Yeah.
due to cancer.
All right. Well, I apologize for making that mistake, but that's still, it's still devastating news. Like, just he just beat cancer, and now all of a sudden, it's I can't imagine what his family, what his loved ones, his friends are going through. We got Figure Drawing in the chat sending hello Figure Drawings. Of course, I saw some of you guys posted about your condolences in the comments to one of our polls earlier. Yeah, what a legend. And thank you, Nelson. Rest in peace, Sam Neill. John, what do you remember him the most for? Of course, for me, Event Horizon is one that comes to mind. Recently, he was in why am I forgetting? Peaky Blinders. He was in Peaky Blinders. I remember him from there. Obviously, Jurassic Park. He came back for Jurassic
For
World.
me, it's In the Mouth of Madness was definitely that's probably one of my favorite roles from him. I love Event Horizon. Jurassic Park is very good. Well, not very good. It's good.
Yeah.
But he also had one hell of a performance in Possession. One of the weirdest, most bonker ass fucking movies you will ever watch. Not my cup of tea, but there is certain people that will like it. So, yes, he did play fake Odin in the MCU. That was a thing. I do remember that. But yeah, he's been in plenty. He was also in The Omen 3. That was another one. That was another horror film he was in. He was in so much and dearly missed. And it's a shame that he was finally I'm ready to go back out there, and then he just only 3 short months later he
it's
passed away suddenly.
It's just, and whatever the exact cause was, of course the family, deserves this time to have their privacy, because they did post a statement. John, if you want to scroll down, we could just kind of read that out quickly. And this was, from his family on Instagram. They posted, "It is with immense sadness that the Wanao, I think that's how you say it, Wanao of Sam Neill share the news of his passing on Monday, 13 July 2026 in Sydney, Australia. Sam was surrounded by family and passed with the dignity that has characterized his whole life. The loss was sudden and unexpected, but blessed by the fact, like you said, John, that Sam remained cancer-free. It was only a year ago that he had announced that, that he had, and then
he was in 2 hunts, Hunt for Wilder People and Hunt for the Red October.
So his family said that they would like to express their deepest gratitude to the staff of St. Vincent's Private Hospital for their incredible care. More details will be shared later, but for now, on behalf of the family, we ask that you respect their privacy and navigate this immeasurable loss."
And this was the actual thing on it. That was the actual post on.
Yeah, the post on Instagram. John, he even has smaller roles. He was in The Hunt for Red October, which I love that movie. I mentioned Event Horizon, the Horse Whisperer, I think you guys mentioned. He was in The Bicentennial Man.
My Brilliant Career. The Horse Whisperer, Bicentennial Man.
He even, this is a little more less of a thing, but I remember when they were advertising that series on Apple TV, Invasion, and in season 1, he was in the show for a very brief amount of time. But I remember the marketing was just putting him front and center, he's going to be one of the guys, the lead.
Kind of like Kurt Russell in that show with, what was it, Michelle Pfeiffer, that Taylor Sheridan show. And he was in...
Or was that... Oh, well, you're right, The Madison,
where he's in it for an episode, and they're like, what the fuck? Why are you fucking showing off Kurt Russell?
Even was it 1888 with Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren? They are a small part of that show. The show is really more about Brendan Sklenar and his
1923. 1883 was on Netflix.
Whatever, it's 1923. You know what I mean? One of those years, one of the other. It just seems to be
fucking 17 million Yellowstone spinoffs.
Taylor Sheridan show. But yeah, so I remember Aliens. I was not Alien, Invasion on. I still watch the show. I think it's 3 seasons in now. And I was Sam Neill was the guy that they used to, and then he's only in there for an episode and a half. So if you guys still haven't checked that out, I mean, obviously go back and see his work, and he did a good job with what, the part that he was in there, but obviously I think for everybody, for most people, Jurassic Park, and he came back for, I forget, what was that one called? Jurassic World Dominion, I think it was, a few years ago, the one where they brought back the original cast. I loved him in that too.
Dominion, was that it?
Yeah, it was Dominion. Yep. He was in Thor, Ragnarok and Love. Was he a voice?
Yeah, so
voicing
Godzilla
somebody?
X Kong Supernova, you're right, it's in post-production, so he did seem to film his scenes
Yeah.
for that. So that and
It'd be
another
cool.
movie are going to be his final films, posthumous films. So
Chuck Rod saying, I hear he's going to be in the next. Yeah.
yes,
Okay, cool.
okay,
Yep.
so that's Chuck Rod.
So I don't know. Did he voice any characters in Ragnarok and Love and Thunder? I forget. Like I don't.
No, he
remember
was
seeing him in there.
fake Odin. Remember, like the plays that
Oh,
Loki
shit.
would put on.
Oh,
Matt Damon was
yeah.
fake Loki. One of the
Okay.
lesser
Yep.
Hemsworth brothers was Thor, not
Mhm.
Liam, the
Right.
one nobody cares about. And then Sam Neill was
No.
fake Odin.
You mean Liam is the one nobody cares about? Chris is the.
No.
Chris is-
Isn't there a third one that like
Is there a third
nobody
one?
cares about?
There was the third. Oh yeah. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, first season of the Tutors.
I'm
yep,
sure he's
right,
loved.
hello, right,
I'm
dude.
just saying, like, there's
Yeah.
Chris, there's Liam,
Hey,
and
movie
then
spud.
other
Yeah.
guy.
I mean, look, it's one hell of a day because today we're of course mourning the loss of Sam Neill, but it's also Harrison Ford and Sir Patrick Stewart's birthday. So happy birthday! I'm sure those guys also probably in the same position, just again devastated by the loss of somebody who, again, Sam Neill I wouldn't necessarily say he was like an A-lister, but he was somebody that obviously everybody knew who he was. He was in some of the most iconic movies and TV shows of the last 3 or 4 decades. And certainly paid his dues and made so much more.
I mean,
memories
like,
for everybody. So
that's like when
wait,
everyone forgets there's a third. Well, there's many Skarsgård brothers, but there's Alexander, Bill, Gustav.
But they're not
and
even
then,
all
like,
brothers.
the
I
other
feel like one of them
ones.
is a cousin, right? One of them is like a cousin or like a.
Well, I know. Well, I know
He's-
Gustav is
Yeah.
a model, but I think he's acted in a couple things.
Yeah. Well, but staying
and then
on
there's
the
like
same
two
Neill
other
topic, though.
Stellan really just
He just,
pumped into everything.
he's-
Like he
okay.
really just ran the gamut.
All right. Well, John, but getting back to the Sam
Considering
Neill,
Alexander has said that Stellan almost never wore pants, I'm like that's par for the
okay.
course.
Well,
And considering Stellan was in Thor, boom, there we go,
Okay.
wrapping it around again.
John,
Back to
but
Sam Neill.
if you go to the next, I just wanted to, again, of the many things he did, Cillian Murphy was paying tribute to him as well, of course, because Sam Neill had a big part to play in Peaky Blinders. That is, of course, one of the keystone franchises for Netflix and BBC still to this date. He said, how he admired and adored him, and of course is going to miss him. So yeah, Sam Neill, like again, he wasn't somebody who had a loud presence in most of his works, and even when he was at award shows and stuff like that, he wasn't really known for that, but he was an amazing actor. And if you go forward, we could go through some of his credits. I mean, obviously we've been talking about a lot of what he was in, but I think the Hollywood Reporter put together a good article. If you guys want to go look for it yourself, you can. If you're not familiar with Sam Neill's work beyond like the big things like Peaky Blinders and Jurassic Park, John, if you go to the Hollywood Reporter article, you can take a look at a lot of his other filmography, both on the big screen and the small. Some very, very memorable roles. It's between the Peaky Blinders of the today and the Jurassic Park of the yesterday. And again, I'm sure like a lot of you guys remember Event Horizon, but like you guys mentioned, there's so much other stuff. The Tudors season 1, Monique was mentioning. He was a class act, absolute class act, and we're gonna miss him. I mean, it's one of those. Again, every time something like this happens, it's like it's this thing about how the human brain works.
Oh God! I mean, the whole gravity drive scene.
Yeah,
that Nolan totally ripped off. I just perfect, lovely.
But
Probably
I mean,
one of the best
he
scenes
did
in the
audition for Bond back in the 80s.
He
Brian
did.
brought it up.
He
I think
did.
two of you brought that up.
He tried, but obviously
Daylights.
couldn't.
I mean,
quite
Sleeping
get there.
Dogs. It's as I was saying, there's this weird thing about the human mind where we may not know him. Most of us don't know him personally, but when you watch a movie and or a TV show, and those characters the way our brains kind of react to them, they kind of become our friends and our family in a way in our brains, the way we feel about like the actor passing away, like Sam Neill in this case. So you may not have known him personally, but I think that's why the losses of celebrities that we've never actually maybe even met just reverberate the way that they do.
Did I ever tell you my favorite color is blue?
In the mouth of
Wakes
madness,
up screaming.
Yeah.
Oh God, if you have not seen In the Mouth of Madness, I will say both movies that Sam Neill did with John Carpenter. I will say I actually kind of like Memoirs of an Invisible Man. Not the greatest movie. Sam Neill is great in it. I mean, it has like Chevy Chase where he was like trying to be like taken seriously as an actor and like he wasn't like trying to be funny. And also John Carpenter was like, I thought about fucking quitting directing after working with Chevy Chase, which is definitely a through line when you're working with Chevy Chase.
Not the only guy. Not the only guy who's had that
but
experience.
Sam Neill was great in it. Yes. But if you want to see proper Sam Neill and proper Carpenter, you watch In the Mouth of Madness, which is the end of his Apocalypse trilogy, which is The Thing, Prince of Darkness. In the Mouth of Madness is goddamn. In the Mouth of Madness is so fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, award-winning to 11 Australian Film Institute awards. John, if you go to I think the Rotten Tomatoes had a really good list that they put together. If you guys are a fan of, Rotten Tomato ratings, they put together a whole list with all of his works, ranked, of course, by the Rotten Tomato scores, and that includes obviously the big stuff, but also you got newer things that you might not have known about, like even going back to like 2000, The Dish, a feel-good movie without an abundance of mush. Sweet Country, Thor Ragnarok. I love Thor Ragnarok. Jurassic Park sitting in number 5. Got Rams from 2020. I think he did a lot of smaller movies in recent years. Some of them, again, just fun to watch films. He did one with The Piano with Holly Hunter, The Hunt for Red October, Skin, of course, Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book, the 1994 Jungle Book. The Daughter in 2015, Lesser Peaky Blinders, we talked about season 2. And then you go back to 1988, A Cry in the Dark with Meryl Streep, Little Fish with Kate Blanchett, Until the End of the World in 1991. That's quite the name, with William Hurt, also passed away a few years ago. Possession, 1981, of course. And yeah, I mean, we could keep going here, but yeah, John, any other projects, any other things that stick out to you? I mean, about Sam Neill, who he was as an actor, the life and the career.
Too many to count.
I mean, what an origin story. He was born in Northern Ireland, raised in New Zealand. Of course, all of Australia, the whole continent, New Zealand and Australia included, I'm sure, have been mourning losing one of the best actors to ever have come out of that part of the world. And I mean, we could do a tier list of his work. I could make that an option this week's poll. I think that would be probably very relevant and appropriate. Deco saying my favorite Sam Neill movie is Jurassic Park 3, and Jurassic World Dominion. Okay, so you got 3 of them in there. All right.
I will say at least, which is more than you could say for Star Wars, at least the movie sucked ass, but at least you got the 3 of them together again. Goldblum, Dern, and
I thought it was a decent movie. I enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was of that trilogy.
From what I've heard, people who've
good.
seen it, they're essentially it was a Jurassic World movie, but the threat wasn't dinosaurs; it was locusts. So it's like,
it was
why?
Yeah, it's just. But you know what the thing is? It's like 6-7 movies into the franchise. I was like, I guess they at least tried something different. Yeah. They tried something different with it,
and it didn't work. And then they went back to dinosaurs, and it still.
I don't know.
But, hey, it made money.
It's miles better than the one we got last year. So I'll tell you that much. But I mean, it made good amount of money. It sneakily made a shit ton of money. But anyway, I mean, hey, look, the passing of Sam Neill, we of course send our condolences and our best wishes to the friends and family of Sam Neill, who of course I'm sure are devastated by the sudden loss. And with that, we're going to move on to the box office report. John, it's been a very up and down weekend at the box office, depending on who you talk to and which movie you want to talk about. So I feel like there's only one place to start off here, which is, of course, Moana. So let's pick things up there because, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, once again embarking.
Once again, The Rock coming into a franchise, promising to change the hierarchy, and then it falling flat on its face.
You took my words away. Exact. That's what I was gonna say. You tried to change the hierarchy of power at the box office, and unfortunately, it was a big misfire, as Deadline says here. Remember, going into the weekend, we were saying worldwide it was probably going to do 130 million. Now, that was, of course, already a big drop from what the original predictions were. It was already like almost 50% down from the initial long-term projections. But 43 million in the US and Canada is significantly down from what they expected. I think that was even lower than, I think they were looking at 45 to 65 million. So it was lower than the lowest number on the projections. And I mean, I don't know if you want to blame the wig or not, but hey, 43 million certainly ain't gonna cut it. Considering that this movie apparently was made for 250 million, and then they dropped another 145 million marketing it, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson got paid his usual $20 million salary. But
You don't turn your back on family.
But yeah,
we don't turn our back on family here. Come on now.
I mean, I'm Vin Diesel's busy making his own final movie in the franchise. But look, the only upside here is I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes popcorn meter was sitting at 90 the last I checked, and then the cinema score is an A-. So it's the A- cinema score helps because it does, like Nelson was saying, he saw it, he liked it. Hello, Johnny. But John, if you go to the next article for a moment, I think this is the one that really speaks volumes, because remember I mentioned worldwide it was projected to do 130 million. Now 43 million domestic is already really low, but it's not like anybody internationally connected with it either, because altogether it only pulled in another 52 million internationally.
Is such a huge fucking discrepancy between critics and audiences. Critics destroyed it with 33, and then the popcorn meter is still at 90. That's insane. But I don't think I've ever seen a jump that big.
It happens. It's rare that happens, that you have a movie that is critics proof. But the thing is, usually when you say a movie is critics proof, the movie's doing well at the box office. Now, this is opening to 95 million worldwide. Again, 35 million off the projection. It's set to, at this point in time, lose 100 to 125 million. The reason why they say that, John, is there's a few things, and I'll go through this in this article. I already mentioned how they were like 395 million all in on this movie. Dwayne Johnson got paid his $20 million salary. He's probably not going to make any of those back end points because this movie is not going to be profitable. But if you scroll down in this article and you go all the way down, there's a paragraph that starts off with relish mix. It's towards the end of this article. Because you got to remember, the Moana 2 made $1 billion. The first Moana made a lot of money. I mean, they made 20 plus million in merchandise alone in the previous movies. But Moana 2 came out only a couple of years ago, right? So we have talked about hey, why did they put this movie out so soon, right? And if you go I think if you keep going down, there's a paragraph I'm going to read from. It starts by saying, relish mix reported prior to Moana's release, because we're talking about now why this movie failed. Because looking ahead, it's got the Odyssey, Spider-Man Brand New Day to deal with. Is it really gonna be able to, make a comeback? Probably not. So if you can zoom into this, they mention here, according to the general sentiment with the people who went to see this movie, or maybe didn't go to see this movie, there's mixed negative leaning chatter for Moana. The dominant conversation revolves around the perceived lack of necessity, heavy CGI, muted color grading, questionable wig design for Maui, and a feeling that the film sits awkwardly between animation and live action. Smart critiques repeatedly noted that the visuals are often resembling AI-generated content, while others question why a movie this recent needed reimagining at all. Comparisons to live-action adaptations such as The Lion King, How to Train Your Dragon, and even parody sketches are frequent, with many arguing the original remains visually superior. Viewers also target the flat lighting, overuse of digital environments, and the sense that the production lacks the vibrancy associated with the South Pacific setting. Supporting reactions include it looked like someone uploaded Moana to AI and asked what it would look like in live action, and how did they make a beautiful place look so dull. And additional examples include, this looks like a high budget SNL skit, and the colors and lightings are so dull and muted. John, I think that's a summary of literally everything we've been talking about, why this movie feels off. How do you react? Because I feel like that kind of summarizes literally everything that we've talked about. Like, why is it so soon? Like, it seems very uninspired. The wig is a problem. They spent $250 million because they did so much CGI, because there was over 2,000 VFX shots in this movie. It took them 60 weeks, over a year, just to do the post-production. Movie Spud just saw Young Washington. That's awesome. Gave it a 7.5. Movie Spud and Mama Spud. That's awesome, man. But John, do you care to comment on any of this? Because I feel like this is one of those things where it just feels like an unmitigated disaster at the box office with no chance at recovery.
Unmitigated disaster. Yeah, it seems like that, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you can scroll all the way back up at this point, but I was reading into this article. Great article. You guys can go into Deadline, look into this, because they do a nice breakdown. And now, one thing I wanted to ask you, John. This movie was initially announced in 2023. At the time, Moana 2 wasn't a thing, because that second Moana, movie was going to be a TV series on Disney Plus. And then they needed a movie for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend period in 2024. So over at Disney, they decided to repurpose the TV show into a movie, and they did. And Moana 2 went on to make $1 billion. Great. But putting Moana, the live action remake, in between, of course, we just talked about Minions coming out. You already have Toy Story 5 in the playing, which, by the way, both of them made around $20 million in their second and fourth weekends at the box office. Really good numbers. I saw Toy Story 5 over the weekend. Really good movie. And then you have the Odyssey coming out 7 days later. So being squished between Minions and the Odyssey, with Toy Story 5 that's barreling towards $1 billion, also in theaters, why release it now? Because again, with Supergirl, like, they didn't really give it a chance by putting it between Toy Story and Minions. Do you feel like this release date was completely unnecessary? Because in this article, they have some industry insiders saying there's no reason this should have come out in 2026. Put it in 2027. It just was really packed. And it doesn't help that, obviously, the wig and everything else around the reviews didn't help either. Like, do you think that was a big part of it? There's the release schedule just wasn't the right
Maybe
place,
it is that there's just so many big movies coming out this year, and it's just like, between the 2 Marvel movies, a 5th Toy Story, another Minions, which even that kind of underperformed a little bit. Then Christopher Nolan's grandiose return to cinema after 3 years after winning the Oscar. So, it's just kind of, I feel like, the only ones that are like outside of that, like, pantheon is like the Obsession. Like, that was the only thing that was like, oh shit, that's crazy, bro. And then to a lesser extent, Back Rooms. Right. But everything else is just like kind of at mercy to all these like way bigger movies coming out.
Family animation, Yeah. Minions, Toy Story. Look, here's the thing with Disney movies, because it's got an A- cinema score, and the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is really high, which means generally people who do go see it or who have seen it are looking kindly upon the film. Now, we haven't heard from Liz because she didn't go to see the movie on Friday like she had planning on, but we'll ask her when she's on the show next time. But I was gonna say, Mufasa was a movie that opened really low compared to its projections and what people were expecting. Eventually it legged out because it just, Disney leaves these movies in theaters for 2 months, 3 months sometimes. So my guess here is they're gonna hope, because the cinema score is A- and the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is high enough, that there might be enough good sentiment, positive sentiment, that people might still go to see it. And if they leave it in theaters long enough, that it might actually end up making a decent amount of money. Now, $395 million into it, 250 to make it, 145 to market it, means there's no way this movie makes a profit unless it breaks like, $700-800 million at the box office, which is unlikely. Mufasa even did not get that far. So we'll see how well it does, how well it doesn't do. But I feel like this movie should not have released in this time of the year in 2026. They should have either waited till, you can release it on Thanksgiving time. I think there was a slot open there. Unless, well, they got a Hex coming out, so Disney, would have had competition from itself, which even now, Toy Story 5, Disney's competing with itself. So maybe they should have put it on 2027. It just felt like it was the wrong time. And we'll just see how that plays out over time. You guys let us know. Did you see Moana? Are you surprised it's not doing that well? Is it the wig? What was the reason why you think it's not doing well? Let us know in the comments.
Oh damn! Oh damn! Oh damn!
Brian saying the new Bell Jar adaptations got Connor story. Hey, that's a heated rivalry reference. Nice. Movie audiences would be dumber than the Rocks to give the Moana. But anyway. Yeah, look, a lot of people might just wait because it's gonna eventually end up on Disney Plus. That happens too. Although Disney tends to leave their movies in theaters longer than most studios, so that is something to keep in mind. But hey, you know what? We're gonna leave that there. You guys let us know what you thought about Moana. Are you somebody who chose not to go see it because of the reviews or the trailers, or maybe you did go see it? Let us know what you thought. But in the meantime, John, Michael. Remember, there was a movie called Michael. They did say his story continues, so we know we're getting a sequel. Now, interesting fun fact, Lionsgate has never had a $1 billion movie at the box office. The closest they got was Hunger Games Catching Fire, which made like $870 million. I think that was the final movie in that franchise. Then they started doing those prequels.
No,
of course, we already had
Part 2 was the final.
Was it Mockingjay Part 2? Anyway. But Catching Fire was, one of the, I think maybe that was the peak of the franchise.
That was the second one.
Certainly financially. Yeah. So Hunger Games got close, $870+ million. They have not had a $1 billion movie ever for that studio. They're considered a mid-major studio still. But after Super Mario Galaxy made $1 billion this year, now we have a second $1 billion movie at the box office this year, which is of course Michael, that finally crossed the $1 billion.
It might be boring and forgettable,
office.
but it just made Lionsgate a fucking $1 billion. So
it definitely did. And John, if you scroll down in this article, they point out a few interesting milestones, because of course Michael making $1 billion is a first for Lionsgate, but it's also a significant milestone for a lot of other things, because not only is it the biggest movie in the studio's history, which by the way, just a sidebar, Japan and Russia are really what helped it kind of get over that line, because it's kind of trickling. But remember, Japan released it like a month late, and then also Russia got it pretty late. So those two countries primarily have kind of pushed it over that $1 billion mark. Now, Graham King, also the producer of Bohemian Rhapsody, produced this movie. Bohemian Rhapsody was his highest, grossing movie before, $911 million. Now this becomes his highest grossing movie. Also, it's the highest grossing biopic because it beat Oppenheimer's $975 million. And then, of course, you keep going beyond that. Not only was it the biggest movie for the producer, for Lionsgate, but also Antoine Fuqua had never made anywhere close to this kind of money. His highest grossing movie was King Arthur, which made $203 million. So now he's quintupled that number. And then screenwriter John Logan, who interestingly enough was the writer behind Skyfall, he of course still has the highest grossing movie for him is Skyfall, 1.1 billion, but Michael is now close second for him. He's got $2 billion movies on his screen credits. Caleb saying, and it's Michael Jackson, he'll always be successful no matter how horrible or boring. Well, look, here's the thing. One of the interesting stats that I read in this article that I want to point out, is Thriller considered a new release in Russian? I don't know, Brian. That's a good question. I don't know enough about Michael Jackson's discography in terms of where it didn't release. But one interesting thing I read about in this article was, and let me kind of point to it right here. If I could switch over to my screen for a second, look at this here. They are pointing out something very interesting. Michael made $371.8 million domestically and $629.8 million internationally. Basically, 40% of the movies in box office came from US and Canada. 60% of it came from internationally. There's a comment in this article which I thought was really important and really underrated. This is a movie that's led by a black actor in the leading role that actually drew $600 million internationally. Now, Hollywood, over the years has shied away from putting a lot of black leads in their movies, and black-led, movies, whether it's male or female actors in the lead role. Wakanda Forever, the first Black Panther, seemed to be the exceptions to the rule. Both of them made a lot of money. The first one made $1 billion. The second one made over $800 million. This now becomes, again, a brilliant, shining example of the international audience embracing, an African-American cast-led movie, because that doesn't happen very often. Certainly those movies do really well domestically even, but internationally, so for some reason, that here we are. And I just thought that was something interesting that a commenter on this article pointed out. And that's fantastic. It's fantastic. So it gives me hope for like more movies of the kind to do very well abroad as well as domestically. So yeah, good on Michael, made $1 billion. If Michael Jackson was alive, he'd play. I don't know if he's got the acting chops to play Mr. Sinister, but I'm sure he would have, tried it out. So yeah, I thought you were teasing Brian. But yeah, look, Michael becomes the second $1 billion movie on the year, which is fantastic. That is brilliant stuff. So good for Michael. And we'll keep an eye on this, of course, see how far it can go. There should be a DC fan cast for Jafar Jackson. We could. I mean, what would he? But this is his only screen credit, so I don't really know how good of an actor he is. I certainly haven't looked into what else he might have done. So, but that could be something we can put on the poll. We could definitely put it on the poll. But anyway, so let's. I'm just gonna. We had the order of segments laid out a little bit differently. But while John is away, I'm gonna do some business of Hollywood news, because of course something big happened over the weekend, and this actually came out today, because Monday's the first day of the week, the first business day. So the business of Hollywood is where we're gonna talk about Paramount, because of course today, remember, for I believe it's been weeks if not months now, that the state attorney generals, including Rob Bonta of the California, who has been leading the way on this, they were working on a lawsuit to challenge the Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery merger. Today, the hammer finally dropped. They filed the lawsuit, and here we are. The Paramount has now been sued by states to block this merger with Warner Brothers. And look, if they do somehow manage to win this, it would become a landmark case that I don't think you could probably go back all the way to maybe the AT&T split. That happened, I believe, was in the 80s. I might be getting that wrong, but remember when AT&T used to own all the phone lines? Something that big, going in favor of the consumers, in this case, or the state attorney generals, it wouldn't have happened in decades. But of course, they just filed the lawsuit. This could become the biggest hurdle for the merger to actually happen. I'm gonna go through a little bit of it here. Now, this wasn't just Rob Bonta of California filing this. This was 12 state attorney generals. So you had, of course, the California leading the way, and they're looking to stop this from happening. Of course, we know the Department of Justice in the U.S. has already approved the merger, but there are a few other organizations like the Federal Communications Commission and a few other international bodies like the European Union's regulatory body, as well as the British one. They're still working on this. Now, in most of those cases, they're expected to get an approval, but the state attorneys general here definitely putting up a fight. Now, I'll go through this just briefly, because we don't need to go through this in too much detail. Basically, what they were saying here in their lawsuit, the states allege that the acquisition will substantially throttle competition in wide releases and top-grossing theatrical distribution and cable licensing in violation of antitrust laws. They're saying there'd be too much power in one company with cable networks, with theatrical distribution, with just movie production in general, and that's going to lessen competition, raise prices, and of course, they're saying there will be, 2 of the top 5 Hollywood studios will become one, and that means there's one less major out there, similar to when Fox sold most of their studio business to Disney about 10 years ago. So they're saying that's going to lead to higher prices, fewer movies in theaters, and a reduction in the variety and quality of content. So that's, obviously not good for us. And, right now, Paramount is up against the clock because they have a deadline until September 30th. If this doesn't get done, this merger doesn't happen by September 30th, then they will be paying a ticking fee. And that amounts to $650 million per quarter, or $6.9 million per day, that they'll pay extra to the Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders. So this is going to be, potentially a big, hurdle for them to jump through. Hunter Iggy, hello, saying what happened if they block it and what happens to Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount. Now, that's a good question. If this does succeed, which lawsuits like this could take years, by the way, unless it gets dismissed, this could be a big problem. I remember when the Department of Justice sued to block the AT&T merger with Warner Brothers, which, by the way, AT&T won the lawsuit. It took a couple extra years for that merger to happen. That could be very costly for Paramount, by the way, because of that ticking fee. So if it does get blocked, then obviously Warner Brothers Discovery goes back to being the company that they currently are, which of course they just keep doing business as usual. Maybe they'll continue to do the split with Discovery Global going its own separate way, but we'll see. Paramount obviously would still be the Paramount that it is today, with Skydance and Paramount is one thing. So we'll see. I mean, again, I think even if Netflix had gone through with their purchase, that's something like this would have still happened. But with Paramount, it's more significant because it includes cable networks and everything else that Netflix was going to spin off. Now, the 12 states that are part of this lawsuit that are challenging the merger are, of course, California, but they're joined by Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, and Washington. So a lot of the states in the two coasts, the east and west coast of the United States, but also some states in the southwest as well. There is a little bit of a political tinge to this if you're familiar with U.S. politics, but we're not going to get into that too much. Paramount did respond, saying the lawsuit is reflects a fundamentally flawed application of the antitrust laws and is wrong on both the facts and the law. So I did want to point out the one quick little thing. In the actual filing itself, they pointed out some of the big IP that both studios have to offer. Hello, Angelica. Just watch Evil Dead Burn. Watch Supergirl 3 times already. I'm satisfied with what I've watched. That's awesome. Gonna wait for Moana till it hits streaming. Well, seems like a lot of people will. But in this lawsuit, they do point out this is the actual filing. It's redacted because some of the details aren't available publicly, but they point out some of the things that are on the line here. Titanic, Grease, Forrest Gump, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Sunset Boulevard, The Godfather. Those are big Paramount movies that, are on the line here in this merger. You got The Departed, Before Sunset, the Matrix franchise, Goodfellas, Casablanca, The Shining. They even mentioned the franchise. You got Top Gun Maverick, you got Mission Impossible, Star Trek that Paramount has. You got Batman, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, sorry Superman, nobody cares. You got all of these franchises that Warner Brothers has. It's just and then you got all the TV networks.
All right,
CNN,
calm down.
MTV,
Superman
HGTV.
wasn't the one that bombed at the box office.
When did Batman bomb at the box office? Anyway, I'm just saying, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, you're going back 30 years, irrelevant. But Paramount, before this all happened on Monday, there were reports over the weekend that close confidants to David Ellison have been advising him to shift the corporate headquarters of Paramount away from California. That doesn't mean the studio backlots will go away. It just means the corporate headquarters for the company would move out of California, as I'm guessing they knew this was coming. So this was just another move of like, hey, if you do this, then we won't be based in California anymore. So we won't be, so like, it's kind of like when Elon Musk.
And then California is like, did I fucking stutter?
Yeah,
Lawsuit.
Exactly. So, and I think rightfully so, because even if they move the corporate headquarters out of there, I mean, yes, like they did that for Tesla and they went to Texas, and companies have done that. There wouldn't be the first. They wouldn't
people
be the
thinking
last.
that's like, oh yeah, good for Paramount. This is a total gotcha because they're about to lose 30 billion. You do realize that California has gained like $4 trillion thanks to the film industry in that state. I think they'll be fine.
But also, like, for California, this matters more than just a company basing their headquarters in their state. I think a lot of it is because there's so many jobs on the line here. Because so many people at the unions, like whether it's IATSE or SAG or, the Writers Guild, the producer directors even, and, a lot of the other workers who are literally below the line workers who spend 12, 14 hours on set. And, they are the ones who do the grunt work. All those jobs are on the line here because if there are fewer movies, even though Paramount has been promising 30 movies a year, Disney said something similar when they were buying Fox. Disney has never lived up to that, number that they had promised at the time. And Paramount's going to have $79 billion of debt. So and they'll only have like $3 billion of free cash flow. It's very difficult to be able to finance 30 movies a year when you've got that much debt to pay down. Not to mention if, not every movie is going to be a hit. So you really got to hit home runs with every single time, and that it's hard. It's almost impossible. Every studio executive in town will tell you that. So now this, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that this is a guarantee to success, to succeed, because most of these kind of lawsuits, like I said, the Department of Justice sued AT&T to stop the Warner Brothers merger years ago. It took a couple of years, but eventually AT&T won out because Paramount, for their part, are saying, look, blocking this deal is only going to harm internet entertainment workers. And really, this is the part. If you don't care about anything else here, this is what I'm just going to give you a TLDR of what this lawsuit is going to center on. Paramount is saying for us, basically, the premise of this merger, why we think this is going to increase competition, is because it's going to give us more scale and greater market share to compete with Disney and Netflix and YouTube and Apple and
we're going to create
Amazon
competition
money
by shrinking the competition.
So
make it
they're
make sense.
saying, because what they're saying is all these tech giants are also our competitors, not just the other studios, not just Walt Disney Pictures, not just Universal Pictures. They're saying that's the market that we are a part of, which to a certain degree is true. YouTube still is the biggest streaming service in the world. Netflix is up there, Disney's up there, and the combined HBO Max, Paramount Plus would get pretty close to that, like a close number 3, number 4. And for the state attorney generals, they're saying, no, this is, you also are talking about 2 news networks, CBS News and CNN. You're talking about all the other cable networks. You're going to have the single most cable networks under one roof of any company in the world, not only domestically, but also internationally. I talked about in like the UK, for example. And you're going from 5 major Hollywood studios to 4 because it's going to be all under one. Even if you say you're going to operate them as independent studios, I mean, so did Disney.
You still fucking own them, dude.
So that's really what it's all about. It's about the definition of the marketplace. And the states argue that you're going to have too much media consolidated under one roof. The Paramount folks are arguing the way you define a market, it has to include the tech giants now as well. It's not just Disney, Universal, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Sony, and Lionsgate, and Netflix. It's also Amazon, Apple, those big conglomerates that are throwing a lot of money at this. And YouTube is also a streaming service, whereas, the state attorney generals, they're going to try to make it so that YouTube is not really in the same category as Paramount Plus and HBO Max. So we'll see how this all plays out. Of course, the mayor of New York City, because his state is part of this, lawsuit, Zoran Mamdani said, it's not a merger that serves the public. So he made a statement, which was shortly after the lawsuit was made or was submitted publicly. And he said it would hand one company nearly a third of the movies and cable channels Americans watch, raise prices of streaming and cable, endanger the livelihoods of thousands of New York and artists and entertainment workers, because a lot of movie and TV shows get produced in and around the New York City area. And, he said it's going to threaten to shutter theaters across our city. New York's workers helped build this industry. That should not be sacrificed for the sake of further corporate consolidation. I mean, by the way, John, if Paramount wanted to move their headquarters out of California, they did buy, remember we talked about it, 1883 Studios is like a new complex of sound stages in New Jersey, and Paramount signed a long-term lease. They could set their corporate headquarters in New Jersey, actually, which, ironically enough, New Jersey is also one of the states that are suing as part of these 12 states. So this is, of course, the biggest, the biggest, challenge to the merger so far, but we'll see how it plays out. If I own everything, then no one will own.
Because when everyone's super, no one will be.
No one will be. But yeah, you guys let us know if you guys think this will actually succeed. I personally, based on the other lawsuits that have happened similar to this in the past 20 years, I don't think this is going to actually cause the merger to not happen. What I think will happen is the state's attorney generals could get some concessions from Paramount and Warner Brothers. Like they could get CNN to be spun off. They could be like, all right, so you can't have all the cable networks, or maybe, you get rid of some other things. Like maybe, you get rid of the cable networks, or you get rid of some part of Warner Brothers Discovery's businesses. Maybe you spin off something that Paramount has, maybe the kids programming, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, that stuff. but I don't think they're going to be able to win the lawsuit outright based on recent history precedent. Unfortunately, that's my estimate. And I'm not a lawyer by any means, but that's just based on what I know with the history of media mergers in the past 2-3 decades in this country. So that being said, the biggest thing they can do here is cause a lot of financial damage to Paramount, because the Ellisons are going to have to throw up $650 million every quarter, every 3 months after September 30th. This doesn't go through, and this lawsuit, unless it gets dismissed by a judge, which is highly unlikely, could go on for a few years. John, this really kicks the ball potentially years down the road, and that could cost literally billions of dollars to the Ellisons. So maybe this is just going to be like, how long will the Ellisons hold out on this? How much extra money are they willing to fork out to actually let this, go through? Or maybe they'll, make some concessions so they can actually get this lawsuit dismissed or settled before it goes to trial, or, goes long enough that it causes them billions of dollars in damage. So yeah, we'll see how this all goes. Movie Spot saying, I'm rooting for the states to win it. Looks like they're all states with Democratic governors, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, they are all, actually, yes. Campia mentioned the same thing about concessions. Yes, I think that's probably most likely what's going to happen here. Like, they were willing to do mixed concessions even to the European regulators, but the European regulators was like, all you need to do is get out of the Universal Studios co-distribution partnership that you had, which was basically something that's largely inactive in recent years anyway. So it was a very little concession, basically, a rounding error for them financially. But that's all Europe asked for. I feel like this is going to ask more of them than what Europe asked for. So, yeah. I mean, 90 years is probably not how long this is going to take, but I'm willing to bet it's going to take probably a couple of years. And that should, unless Paramount is like, okay, you know what do you guys want? Okay, we'll give it to you. Let this go through, because it's going to become, a numbers game sooner than later. And the attorney generals know this. So, yeah. I feel like the most likely thing they might do is actually spin off CNN. That's probably most likely what's going to happen. So, would that be enough? Will the attorney generals ask for more? We'll see. But anyway, John, there is one other story in the business world, the business of Hollywood, I wanted to talk about, and then we'll go into the MCU Weekly. I just wanted to kind of do the business stuff while you were away. So I wanted to kind of quickly go through an article here. Should Disney exit the streaming business? This is interesting because this came out from a Wells Fargo analyst, Stephen Cahall, and it actually led to Disney's share prices going up because of what he suggested. Now, I'm going to TLDR it for you, and I want to get your opinion, and also you guys in the chat, you let me know this. They're arguing here, Stephen is arguing in this research note that he put out, that if Disney, despite the fact that Disney Plus is like a top 3 highest subscribed streaming service in the world, if they decided to get out of the distribution game, aka the streaming game, and just focused on being like the maker of IP, like the content, like movies, TV shows, the experiences business, like Disney Parks, if they just focused on being Disney that, owns all these theme parks, if they just make the movies and they distribute the movies and they make the shows and they don't stream them on Disney Plus, but rather they license their library to other streaming services, like what Sony does. Sony doesn't have its own streaming service. That could potentially lead to Disney's stock price going up by 40%. Now, why that's significant is because Josh D'Amaro is a new CEO. Disney Plus was Bob Iger's dream. And then Bob Chapek came in and was like, we're just going to pump it full of shit. And that led to nowhere. Obviously, Disney Plus, I feel like, had its like heyday of this is the place to be for the latest Marvel and the latest Star Wars stuff. Then everything kind of went downhill. Now Disney Plus has kind of settled into like what it originally was, which is it's a great place to find all your Disney stuff in one place. But John, the argument Steven is making is if Disney decided to license their stuff to other streaming services, and there's some numbers that they project in here, which I think are significant. Like Sony is making $1 billion from Netflix for licensing all of its movies in its pay one window to Netflix. Remember, they went from just being in the US to everywhere in the world. What that means is all Netflix movies, once they come out of theaters, the first streaming service they hit is Netflix everywhere in the world. That's $1 billion Sony gets for that. Guaranteed. And they're saying in this article that Disney could get $4 billion if that's something like that. You add on to that the pay to window, which by the way, right now, Sony's movies have a pay to window with Disney. So Disney Plus gets the Sony movies after they come off Netflix, which is why some of the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland end up on Disney Plus, a few years after they've come out, because once the Netflix pay one window expires to go to Disney, Disney could similarly have a pay one window deal with a Netflix or an Amazon Prime Video that could pay $4 billion, and then you add on a pay two window, and then, you talk about other licensing revenues from all the, big IP, Pixar, Lucasfilm, you got Star Wars, Marvel, Indiana Jones, all of those big, I'm not even talking about everything that they have. They could get another $15 billion. That's basically like saying $19 billion a year that Disney could be making that they're currently probably not, because it's expensive to run a streaming service. So when you look at these numbers, the argument that they're making is, as much as Disney Plus is a big streaming service, their stock price and their revenues could be 40% higher if they were just to shut down Disney Plus and start licensing everything to another, like HBO might end up with having Disney movies again. They used to have a distribution deal. I don't think that's in place anymore. Not for like the Disney movies, but they were like one of their other labels. So yeah, I mean, John, do you think this is the way Disney should go? Because I don't really watch anything on Disney Plus myself. I'm not saying like that I'm the prototypical Disney Plus subscriber. But like Disney Plus for me now at this point is mostly a place where I go to watch Disney related things that they own, like Marvel movies and stuff. I don't really go there to watch new things anymore as much, because seemingly even when they do hit, it's like it's hit or miss. Like, Daredevil, sure. But like, yeah, what do you think? Do you think Disney Plus should shut down and they should start
I don't think they
licensing
ever
their stuff to
will.
everybody else?
Because the thing is, they now have too much stuff. Because it's like now they have. It's just like, one, everything has a streaming service now, and two, like, where's all the Star Wars like shows gonna go, and now what are the fucking Marvel stuff gonna go back to Netflix, and like I don't know. I feel like they did so much to.
They're saying like that could be more valuable to them than putting it on their own streaming service. Like you could get paid up
yeah,
front
but
for that
the
stuff.
fact that they did so much to fucking license this shit out, and now it's like, oh yeah, we're not doing. I don't know. It just feels like I don't think they're gonna do that. They did so much to make this a thing. Now it just feels like, oh, they're just gonna like snap it away just like that. I don't know. It just feels weird.
Yeah, I mean it's unlikely because they've put so much money into the streaming business, because they bought Fubo TV, and like there's a lot of tech consolidation in the back end they've done, because Disney Plus is not just Disney Plus. Disney Plus is ESPN Plus, and the new version of it, the whatever with the live channels. It's also Hulu. Hulu also has a live channels business. Fubo TV is also now part of the same umbrella. It's all of that stuff is Disney Plus. So I mean, given how deep they're into this, I don't think it's very likely, but it is an interesting argument, because with a new CEO, Josh D'Amaro, like what is going to be his legacy? He's too early to really have a legacy, considering he just became the CEO. And it may not be great optics to go right away and kill Bob Iger's, big dream project that was his legacy, that is Disney Plus. But if it makes financial sense, it will certainly simplify a lot, but it also probably leads to a lot of people losing their jobs that work in the streaming business for Disney. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Shogun is part of Hulu. That's also on Disney Plus. They got so much stuff. Prey, all of those Fox franchises internationally. Sometimes you find under the Star tab. So much. But yeah, you guys let us know. Do you think Disney should just kill Disney Plus? Is that going to be better for the company's future, or maybe not? But with that, I think, John, now we can get into some MCU Weekly. So let's do that, shall we? There's a lot of MCU stuff to talk about.
Well, going, Disney, it's a good segue. So
that is true. So I found this out today. Hollywood Reporter put it out. It's an exclusive from them. We now know when the tickets for Avengers Doomsday are going to go on sale. It is going to be next week. We have an exact date. They actually also gave us the runtime for the movie, John. If you scroll down on this article, they said that the tickets for the premium formats are going to go on sale a bit earlier than every other, the normal tickets. But the movie comes out December 18th. Now, July 20th is when you're going to be able to go and buy your Avengers Doomsday tickets. And so those are domestic tickets. They do point that out. That's for US and Canada. And And the studio will open ticket sales, of course, 5 months early for Infinity Vision theaters. So those are the large format screens. Like, give me an example, like Dolby, everything but IMAX, like UVX, ScreenX, all of those formats. So that's, of course, I think on normal, like 5 months before an Avengers movie comes out, you want to put the tickets out on sale. That's not too bad. But John, if you keep scrolling on this article, I believe there's a few other pieces of detail. They did obviously mention the runtime. Now we have a runtime for the movie, 2 hours 45 minutes. 2 hours 45 minutes makes it longer than Infinity War, but shorter than Endgame, because the Endgame was like 3 hours long. So it's pretty long. Now that runtime may change because the movie is not locked yet, the post-production. But because they're advertising a runtime of 2 hours 45 minutes, which is 165 minutes, it probably won't change by more than a few minutes. So there were rumors for a while that this movie could be really long. Now, obviously, I think 3 hours and above was like very unlikely, considering I think Endgame is one of very few Marvel movies that has ever crossed the 3 hour mark. Are you surprised that, we are going to get 2 hours 45 minutes, considering the amount of ground they have to cover for the movie? Hey, Thanos,
I don't think so, because the thing I'm thinking about is like the fact that it's longer than Infinity War means like it's kind of a good sign. And the thing I would be curious about is like how long is Secret Wars? Because Secret Wars, I feel like, has a lot of bigger stuff. Because if they're going off the comics, they're doing battle worlds, they're having all these characters, maybe like part of this world fighting each other, maybe. So you're having a lot of stuff in that. So I feel like there's more. While Doomsday is probably going to be like haphazard, like Infinity War was. And where it's like, it's going to follow these characters, follow these characters, follow these characters, and then the bad ending happens, because we know it's going to be a bad ending, because Secret Wars is it's pretty fucking obvious. And then they're going to go into Secret Wars, which I think is probably going to be like 3 hours. The fact that it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, I think we're fine. That's still a pretty long fucking movie.
That's basically 2.5 hours, because you're gonna have like 10 minutes of credits with like the million VFX studios they pay for the VFX on these.
They pay for their horrible effects. So
the 2 hours and 30 some change, but you'd probably have a post credit scene of actual movie time. But yeah, I mean, why sell so early? Because I am Doom. Okay, I'm sure there was a bit of a grammar mistake there. But anyway, John, they did put out this concept art over the weekend. This is the official concept art. This also confirms the leaks that we were seeing.
Done by like the newly hired intern that's been working at the company for 2 seconds, and it's like, I can do something quick in 5 minutes if you want me to. Like, yeah, sure. And this is what he shit out. And honestly, Dan, you could probably make something better in like 10 minutes. Like,
I mean, it's a lot to ask for, but like, I will say this. I mean, this does. I would, if this wasn't official, you could have easily said this was like an AI made or some kind of fan art, because I've seen fan art that is as good, if not better.
I mean, we're gonna get into that. Somebody made a fan poster, so
we will get into that. But like, the other thing is, you look at because this is basically your lineup of heroes and villain in the movie.
We have the Fantastic Four. We got Falcon. We have Thor, and we have Man in a black shirt.
Steve Rogers. Again, that ILM footage with the watermarks, dude, that shit was real, because look, he's got the white jacket on, Mr. Fantastic, and he's got the black shirt on. It's Steve Rogers.
I hate the jackets. They look so ugly. It's like, what is fucking Earth 199999 fucking a little chilly? You need a jacket? Like, it's a little chilly. Oh, your neck is nice and warm now.
I will also say, well, here's the thing. I'm like, didn't he go to live in like the 60s or 40s or whatever? Because Steve Rogers just has a black shirt. I'm like, not even the shirt. I'm like, that hairdo does not feel very 40s. Unless like when Loki, apparently the rumor is Loki goes in his TVA, we'll talk about this later too. And he moves Captain America from the timeline he created by jumping to the past and staying with Peggy to the Fantastic Four universe, which somehow triggers, Doom trying to stop an incursion and with an accident in his wife and daughter die. So there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of plot mechanics here that they're gonna have to, explain to us. But the one thing I wanted to kind of point out here, there's no
notice
Hulk.
he's holding Mjolnir. That's cool.
Yeah, no, that's dude. He was holding that in the leaked footage. That's been confirmed for a long time.
I didn't. No, well, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure he was.
was.
I just
He
didn't
was.
see it. I just didn't.
Yeah. Dude, we're less than 60 hours. I'm less than 48 hours away from the Odyssey. I think John and I are going to see it a day early, aren't we?
No, I'm seeing it on Friday.
I'm seeing it on Thursday. So hell yeah, that's awesome. Unless 60 hours is Thursday. But anyway, cool. But John, look, there's no
my beard.
there's no there's no Hulk, there's no Spider-Man in this, no Wolverine, no Storm, no Jean
but we got
Grey,
US
no Doctor
Agent,
Strange.
guys. Calm down. We might not have the most popular Marvel fucking character of all time.
You do
but
have
we got US Agent. Thank God.
You do have God Loki hiding under Doom's chin. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of big hitters. I mean, not that Magneto and Professor X and Cyclops aren't big hitters. Obviously, you do have Thor in there, but yeah, a little. Hi, Tony. We got your picks coming up later on, so definitely stick around for Mount Rushmore Monday. Jesus is GOAT. Okay, saying Black Panther and Namor is going to hell to face Doom in a couple of months. I'm stoked. Actually, you know what? Is Namor in there somewhere? I didn't see him in here unless he's hidden
No, I don't
somewhere.
see Namor in here.
I don't see Namor in there. That's interesting.
We see
we know he's in
what
there.
looks like somebody made de-aged
Not
Jackie
yet,
Chan to
Tony.
make him look like Shang-Chi.
Yeah. I mean, Ant-Man is in there looking the same as always, I suppose. Yeah, Loki's hiding under Doom's chin behind Cyclops' head. Dude, Nelson, what is your obsession with Elliot Page? Shang-Chi is... Where is Shang-Chi?
I think they got a crush.
Oh, yeah, he's right there. Yeah, they probably do. Shang-Chi is there. He's in there. I mean, we do up next to Captain America in the corner. You have Falcon flying in behind him, so we know that's there. I don't see Namor. We see Black Panther. Shuri is right there. So, yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, John. You know what the other thing was? So we did get confirmation that trailer they showed at CinemaCon earlier this year that nobody else outside of CinemaCon has seen. They will drop the first Avengers Doomsday trailer at Comic-Con in Hall H on Saturday, July 25th. And apparently it's going to get released online around the same time, which makes sense. But before we get that far, if you go to that comicbookmovie.com article, we actually have a description for the trailer. I'm going to put up a little spoiler warning, so beware, but let's read through this description, shall we? Because I think it's interesting.
Let's get into this.
It confirms previous leaks, so again, it looks like this is real.
Yeah. So the trailer begins with a shot of Doom on a throne in Latveria. Doom walks through his castle, and they show a huge painting depicting his wife and son. Thor arrives with the Fantastic Four to meet the new Avengers. There is a shot of them flying their ship into their tower. The teams get acquainted. Steve meets Thor, and he summons the hammer to himself and proves that it's him because Thor doesn't believe him. Thor says that's impossible. Steve meets Yelena and tells her that Natasha was family to him, which means she is family too. So that's totally how that works. In a fight between Yelena and Yelena, Mystique's transformation is shown. A shot in the Baxter building with the X-Men. Isn't this cool? A shot of Reed Richards talking to Doom. Reed is practically yelling at him, saying, "Answer me." A shot of Loki in his TVA suit in Steve's house from the first teaser. The main scene of the trailer is the battle between Thor and Doctor Doom, where Thor throws Stormbreaker at Doom, and he easily stops it with a single movement of his hand. The trailer ends with a shot where Doom is controlling the Sentinels. Doom's final line, "One day you will forgive me." I mean, sure. Sounds pretty epic. I mean, I guess. It's like, oh, look, X-Men's in the Baxter building. There's Mystique. I know these things. I clapped when I saw Steve.
I will say, though, this definitely feels like is the same trailer they showed at CinemaCon, because all the shots and everything that we heard about, that's pretty much all the same. Okay, Jesus is Good is talking about a comic book thing that's coming out in September. Okay, but you know what, John? All that stuff we were talking about it with, I think this is in Shanghai where they did a big, convention for Marvel. Kevin Feige showed up. So all that huge stage they set up and all those rooms, all that shit is real. And as part of that, we now have pretty much the look of every major location of all these different teams. So there's a nice collage here we can take a look at. So you got 2 Avengers, you got the 2 different A's. They might have rebuilt the compound if you're going off that one. So that's probably the Captain America Avengers. Then you got Wakanda, you got the new Avengers with the tower, the Baxter building with Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and you got, the X-Mansion there. And then we have the logo for Doom himself with the throne. So yeah, I mean, Nelson's asking the right question here, John. Are the leaks enough for you to watch?
Deterrent than anything. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, those look like garbage. Fuck no. Are you kidding me?
I do like the posters, though. These posters look nice. If you were to like blow each of these up,
Got that
more artsy than anything
color.
Else. But yeah, sure. With a little bit of yellow in there,
You know what? More like Howard the Duck. Then it's accurate.
Well, you guys let us know. What do you think? I mean, we got a trailer description. We know we're getting the trailer literally in less than a couple of weeks' time at Hall H, and we now know the runtime, 2 hours 45 minutes, more or less, and the tickets go on sale next week, July 20th, literally a week from now. So, yeah, it's getting here. I mean, it's still 5 months away, but it's getting here, sooner and faster than ever. So, John, there's this other rumor that was going around today.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Now finally some good fucking food. Thank God.
We know that after Secret Wars, we probably are going to move beyond the Sir Ian McKellen Magneto. And I don't think Michael Fassbender is coming back either. So it looks like, according to a new report, that Marvel Studios might be casting former Star Wars actor Kylo Ren himself, Adam Driver, as the MCU's Magneto. If you scroll down in this article, walk us through what this is all about. Where is this coming from, and do you believe it?
So originally this was coming from My Time to Shine, which I'm like, oh, this shit ain't fucking real. My Time to Shine, get the fuck out of here. And then here's where it becomes interesting. It was corroborated by former Nexus Point news writer APOC Horseman. And APOC Horseman, that dude is right a lot of the time. That not every time, but most of the time, APOC Horseman is right. Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff we've talked about with APOC Horseman, he's usually right. Because My Time to Shine said the Driver was being cast as a villain in X-Men, but APOC Horseman specifically said it was Magneto. There's been some chatter about the X-Men cast being revealed at next weekend's San Diego Comic-Con, so more casting news may be imminent. If Driver's playing Magneto, it seems fair to say that the studio has chosen well. The actor is no stranger to playing villains, and at 42, he'll bring a little more youthful energy to the role, like Michael Fassbender before him. This would also line up with reports that the X-Men will be teenagers or in their early 20s in the MCU. Driver was previously reported to be in talks to play Mr. Fantastic and Fantastic Four. It's been rumored on multiple occasions that Mr. Sinister will be the big bad of the new X-Men franchise, but that doesn't mean there still isn't room for Magneto. What he'll bring to the movie remains to be seen. There's also unverified rumblings that Nicholas Alexander Chavez is being eyed for Cyclops. So there's that.
Okay.
I have also heard rumors. These are unsubstantiated, as I'm not 100% sure where the source is. But I believe there was also Bill Skarsgård, Dan Stevens, and Patrick Wilson are being considered for Charles Xavier. So there is that as well. And honestly, Patrick Wilson would be perfect for Charles Xavier, but that's just...
Oh, yeah. I heard about that, too. I mean, yeah, if Adam Driver gets cast as Magneto, like, Liz will be...
Yeah.
Very happy.
Just make him Jewish Hitler like he's supposed to be. All right? Not Netanyahu, not that guy, but like fictional Jewish Hitler. So that's what the character should be. He should be a Holocaust survivor. He needs to be Jewish Hitler. That's the point of the character. Boom. There we go.
I don't think Professor X will be eating a cockroach sandwich anytime soon. But that would have been, but dude, okay, so I assume that if this were, let's for a moment presume that this is true, is this fantastic casting or what? Because I feel like this would be amazing.
Oh yeah,
This
it'd be great.
this is
Like
I
I'd actually maybe
yeah
watch the X-Men movie if this. I'm like, oh, they might actually cook with this, but obviously a good
yeah.
casting doesn't warrant a good movie because there have been plenty. Look at Henry Cavill in Man of Steel, great casting, terrible movie. So there we go.
Hey, I thought it was great. Okay, like
Okay,
I know
yeah,
that
you and
this
all the other
is
weebs of the internet. Anyway,
what? Okay, okay,
but yeah,
calm down.
not weebs. I meant what was the other word? I don't know. All the chuds. There it is.
Okay, be
But yeah, this
careful.
would be great. Like, I don't know if like the movie probably might suck, but like, yeah, honestly, Adam Sandler, that could have been pretty good.
Yeah. Well, Adam Sandler would be hilarious. I totally forgot that Adam Sandler was in an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I was just binging the show. I'm like, what? There's Adam Sandler in this episode? Just randomly shows up at like an
Oh,
empty
who's
auction episode.
Kevin James playing?
Yeah.
Ha ha! Very funny. Trotsky. There it is.
Anyway, well, look, if it is indeed Adam Driver who's going to be our next Magneto, that is top level casting, and that would almost make up for us not getting the Hunt for Ben Solo movie. So, yeah, I'm all for it. But John, you know what? We are all also for, even you, is of course the new Spider-Man movie. So let's talk about that, shall we? Because we got lots going on. The movie is coming at us thick and fast. Like
Adam
it's
Driver's
a
42.
couple of weeks away.
By the way.
It's a couple of weeks away in Spider-Man Brand New Day. The marketing is picking up. So let's get into it, shall we? We got a bunch of stuff to talk about here. The first thing, Tom Holland, I think he was doing an interview with Zendaya and Jacob Batalon for like, I forget if it's Korean, because we know the song that's going to play over the credits. And basically, I think there's a video here where Tom Holland was doing an interview. He was, with his co-stars, and they asked him like, "Hey, like, basically, like, how is this movie going to, like, is this meant to be more emotional and darker than the previous ones?" And he kind of ends up saying that, for as emotional as this movie is, the ending, and as soon as he says the ending, Zendaya and Jacob Batalon
Shut the fuck up, Tom.
You're not supposed to say that. Like, no, you can't say that. And so, but the way that he phrased it, like saying for as emotional as the movie is, the ending, I imagine it's he was trying to say like logically he would probably be saying the ending is great. It's like a really, like the movie puts Peter through the ringer, but the ending is like very positive, like on the up and up. The light, he finally reaches the right light at the end of the tunnel, something like that.
Or they just straight up fucking kill the guy.
Well, but I'm just saying the way he says it almost kind of debunks the idea if you go to the next article, because there's another scooper here talking about something similar, that we won't get the death of Spider-Man. And now again, this is the Cosmic Circus, so take it with a grain of salt, but combined, I was saying on this by itself, I wouldn't have taken on face value. But if you hear what Tom Holland says there, like as emotional as this movie is, the ending, I was like, oh, the ending, does that mean the movie ends on a high note? Well, according to Alex Paris from the Cosmic Circus, I have never confirmed publicly that Peter Parker dies. And for the record, he doesn't. And no, he doesn't get the symbiote. And no, they don't recreate the Gravestone comic panel. And no, it's not a depressive ending. So again, I wouldn't believe the Cosmic Circus by himself without, Tom Holland saying what he said. But John, do you feel like what Tom Holland said, again, not having finished his sentence, I thought he was saying like the movie is going to, put Peter through it, but then the ending is going to be very uplifting. That does line up with, obviously if they kill Spider-Man, that's not a very uplifting ending. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't really, Alex Perez has been okay for the most part, but like not like kind of hit and miss, more hit than miss, but even then I'm not sure if this is going to be the case, but obviously we'll see.
We'll get to that, Steven. Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't think he would get the symbiote at the end of I don't even think Kevin Feige wants to do symbiote stuff. They just kind of did that because like Amy Pascal fucking had to insert that shit into the fucking movie because
which
it was
never really went
from
anywhere.
Venom 2, and then like it's like the thing is the Venom symbiote. Did they confirm that? I forget.
Confirm what?
Did they confirm anything with the symbiote? I forget in the MCU.
No. The closest. Well, remember he leaves behind a piece of it,
No,
so
he,
we
he
know.
leaves behind a piece of. I don't know if they like brought
But
something up with that, but I don't
nothing
think
has
they
happened.
have.
No, they
But
haven't. They haven't
but
brought
the
it up.
Venom symbiote, he's in Mexico. Like that, the symbiote is clearly in Mexico. So like,
It's a long way to go.
it's a
from
long way to
Mexico.
go to New York. So I
You
don't
gotta
think
cross the
like
border, and under today's environment, so it's a long way to go.
I mean, he could possess like like a fast moving like and maybe like a jackrabbit, like take that over and like run. But like even then, I think it would take. I don't think they're gonna do the symbiote. I think if they're really gonna do it, I think they would do it in like part 6. Like as I said, I think it would be really interesting to do like the black suit shit in the 5th movie, and then he rips it off, and we get well, in this case, I guess it would be Scorpion because they've been kind of hinting at that. Would get the symbiote, and then he becomes Venom in the 6th movie, and then that's where we get that, because that's what Spider-Man 3 kind of should have been, was like have the black suit in 3 and then have Venom in part 4, but
Yeah.
we didn't get
I mean,
that.
also, like, I think the simplest reason why Spider-Man can't die in this movie is because it would make it very difficult for him to show up in Secret Wars. It's
Unless
if you get
Doom
kid-
resurrects
it's-
him.
Yeah, but that would be like a very specific thing. I feel like the idea behind, at least based on my estimation on the story, is like what happened with the snap with Thanos. Like whatever they do to go from the incursions to Battle World, anybody who was alive at the time will probably get resurrected into Battle World. But I don't think the final incursions and then creating Battle World is gonna bring back people who died before. And I don't because that would have to be like Doctor Doom very specifically brings back Peter Parker, and I don't understand. There's no obvious connection there. So, but anyway, John, speaking of Amy Pascal, she recently was talking to Games Radar Plus, one of the gaming websites, who also cover a lot of movies, and she was talking about Sony's approach to future Spider-Man spin-offs. And I just want to read off what she says here. She was asked about, well, what are you going to do with this franchise moving forward? Obviously, there are spin-offs that people have been reporting on, and their previous iteration of those spin-offs obviously went terribly, so they kind of put that on the ice. But they do have the final movie in the Spider-Verse trilogy coming out. So what about live action future Spidey movies that Sony would do beyond the MCU maybe? So she was saying you don't want to just keep exploiting the same character. Amy Pascal said, I think that would make it unspecial for the world. So there are other things in the Spider-Man universe that I think are really fun for us to explore because the comics were so varied and so creative. So she's probably talking about we don't want to overexploit Peter Parker. She says, I think Peter Parker should exist in live action, and I love what we're doing with Miles in the animated movies. We just have to be we just have to be really careful that we're being smart about all this. Now, I feel like a lot of that is pretty vague. John, do you feel like there's any plans here for, I don't know, Sony to try to do anything Peter Parker related, outside of the MCU? Or do you think she's just saying, we're going to keep Peter Parker in the MCU and we're going to, play it safe? And there was another part of this interview where she was saying, we're just going to take it one movie at a time. Because obviously they've been burned like 3 times now trying to build up to a Sinister Six. So I don't know if they really want to do that again. Where do you stand on this? Do you feel like they're going to continue to maybe do animated spin-offs of Spider-Verse and keep it separate from Peter Parker with Tom Holland? Or do you think down the road they're going to actually try to build everything into one big kind of, crossover?
I think, they can try to do a whole bunch of stuff. It's just like if they're gonna not do Spider-Man, which I don't think they will, because it's just like I think it'll be confusing and they don't want to deal with that, then it's fine. But
Yes,
like
we are, Steven.
I think it would be interesting to do a Sinister Six movie, but like have Spider-Man be the villain or the antagonist. I've said that a lot of times. But I just think I don't know, whatever they're trying to do, I just don't think is working. I think they just need to stop doing like hiring like no-name directors that don't have a vision, and then it's just like, or no-name writers and all that. So it's just like whatever they decide to do, like just stop doing that. I don't think that that's the right thing to do. That I mean, it's just Sony has so much that they could make. Like literally the best idea they had was like Silver and Black, that like doing a Silver Sable Black Cat movie. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, that probably could
I
have
would have
worked.
liked to see
And
that.
that was like the only one out of all these movies that could have worked, and that was the one they fucking canceled for a Madam Web movie. Morbius could have worked because the thing is, he's like kind of an anti-hero, so like maybe, but I don't know. Like Kraven the Hunter, and like if you take it like, and the thing is, if Spider-Man was the villain of some of those movies, like maybe it could have worked, but I don't know, just whatever they tried, it just didn't hit the mark.
I will say this though. I mean, for all the bagging that we do on Sony Spider-Verse, the Marvel universe of characters without Spider-Man universe, whatever you want to call it. Look, that was terrible, but like you said, John, they hired a lot of badly, they made a lot of bad hiring decisions. Like they hired some terrible directors, terrible writers who had no proven track record of doing anything that should have, had the opportunity to do a Madam Web or any Spider-Man related projects. But Sony also is the studio behind some of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. It's the same studio. You got to give them credit where it's due. They are the same Sony that gave us the Spider-Verse films. Another one we're getting next year. They are also the same studio that gave us the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. So even the first, Amazing Spider-Man. So, I just think they made really bad decisions with Morbius, and it just for whatever reason, they got like the worst of the worst, the least appropriate talent for those films, and didn't put in the kind of effort. Maybe it's because they're like, we want to put the good people out to do the stuff that Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios are doing with Spider-Man. So anyway. No, but like that Sony exists today, figure drawing. That's the same Sony that's giving us the Spider-Verse films. I'm saying Amy Pascal has been overseeing this franchise, whether it's Spider-Verse or the live action stuff. So it's the same people. It's just, give them credit where it's due and then give them flack where it's due. But John, there is more stuff here. Now, there was a new TV spot they put out, and it gives us more insight into the Frank Castle, Peter Parker journey in the movie, because apparently Frank Castle, we saw a shot in another recent promo where they're almost tag teaming, against or handicap matching against the Hulk, because it's too much for one of these guys to fight alone. And obviously I don't think Frank Castle is going to do that by himself, but in this promo that you hear Frank saying like, hey, you contain the Hulk and I'll find the source of whoever's controlling him. But eventually you see them like behind that flipped on its side table, which we have seen behind the scenes, them talking about how they were riffing with each other because John Bernthal, Tom Holland really go back quite a bit, and it turns out that's part of the Hulk fight sequence. What did you think about this new ad that they put out? Because you get to see more of the Punisher in that fight with the Hulk.
Yeah, I think looking good, looking cool. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I enjoy it too. It looks great. You know what is even better, John? The best thing to come out of the marketing campaign for this movie is the new Liquid IV ad that they did with Jacob Batalon.
Yeah.
I thought this was fantastic. The CEO of Sex doing it up.
Well, we're not going to like show a lot of it because, it's copyrighted, but I did actually find that at my like nearby drugstore.
Oh,
I think I was going to send it, but then I never did. And I just kind of forgot. I might try to find it and send it.
Yeah.
But, like,
I thought this was hilarious because it's great advertising. I mean, I don't really care for Liquid IV, but I'm like, the ad is great. So yeah.
So yeah, this was very, very amusing. I'll try to find it, but maybe at a later date. But yeah, this was very, very amusing. Anywho, we still have one more bit of MCU Weekly. Apparently all that talk, because we were talking about this a couple days ago, that, oh yeah, Michael Waldron, he's definitely not doing a Nova related thing. Yeah, it turns out that was dog shit. So whoopsie-daisies. That's funny.
So here's the thing. Remember, this used to be a TV show. They had a pitch for a TV show. They even had a writer attached a few years ago. Nova was going to be a TV series on Disney Plus. Then I think there was not an official announcement, but there's a report that came out a year ago where they'd canceled a bunch of shows that were no longer in development. There was going to be a spinoff from the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie. And there was going to be a Nova show. Now, once that got killed, we were like, okay, so I guess we're not getting Nova for a long time. But it looks like, according to this report in Deadline, as well as what we were talking about, the rumors from a couple of days ago, Michael Waldron is taking on a new pitch that was made with, within the House of Marvel Studios for a Nova movie. So now Michael Waldron, who, by the way, has written some other important Marvel projects, John, if you scroll down here to talk about, Michael Waldron has been, doing it up in the MCU for a while. And he has now come in to take that pitch, the latest pitch, to make a Nova movie, which got leaked because there was a credit for Nova listed on his WGA profile, which is how the world initially found out about it. He's now working on a Marvel and an MCU Nova film. He, of course, recently was working on the Chad Powers TV show that's on Hulu. So that's still against, within the House of Mouse, whether it's Hulu, Marvel adjacent, not Marvel adjacent, but Marvel Studios adjacent, because it's the same, same company. But Michael Waldron, he's a veteran of the MCU. He wrote Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. He also was the showrunner on Loki. So yeah, I mean, and he did that show called Heels, which is about professional wrestling, had Stephen Amell in there and Alexander Ludwig, that was on Netflix. So he's got quite a few good credits, including Marvel credits. So John, how do you take this news? Michael Waldron writing at this point the latest iteration of a Nova story instead of a TV show. Now it's going to be a movie.
I think this is a very smart move from Marvel, considering they see all the shit going on with Lanterns, and it's essentially Nova Corps is the Marvel version of Lanterns, of the Green Lantern Corps. So it's like, cool. We're gonna give, if DC isn't gonna do anything Green Lantern on the big screen, we'll do it. I mean, they did the same thing for Captain America Civil War when they heard that DC was doing a Batman versus Superman movie. So it's like, all right, we'll do our own hero versus hero movie, and it became Civil War. Then DC announced New Gods, and they're like, okay, cool, we'll do our own New Gods. And it was Eternals, and I mean, Civil War turned out to be the more lucrative effort, while, Eternals crashed and burned and the New Gods movie never happened. Yeah. So, well, now Mr. Miracle is happening, but that's a whole different project. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of always been a thing. So it's like Marvel sees the backlash for Lanterns on TV. So like, okay, cool. We're going to give it to you as a movie, as a big budget feature. And it's kind of a shame that Marvel is probably going to give us the best Green Lantern related material that we'll probably ever get, because DC is run by morons and put Tom King at the head of that. So oopsie doopsies. But hey, Nova Corps, I'd watch it. I'd just watch it to spite Tom King, because fuck Tom King. But
Tony wants to shave that mustache. Look, I think Michael Waldron is going to do a good job. I don't know what happened. We don't really know much about what. I think we had some initial details about the Nova Corps TV show that we're going to work on, but we really never heard much about it after we got the news that they're working on one. So until we could figure it out, we got the report that it got canceled. So look, I think this Nova movie is long overdue, because people were speculating about what they're going to do with Nova Corps from the day the first Guardians movie came out. And apparently then, the whole planet was destroyed, and I don't know what that means for the Nova Corps post Endgame and, Infinity War, but hey, I would love to see what Michael Waldron could do with this. And you know what? He's done, look, Multiverse of Madness had its ups and downs for me, but I think it was relatively well written. Had some issues, but I mean, Loki, I feel like for me, that's more of a great example of he's a good writer. And the fact that he's done Heels, which is another good TV show, and of course he did Chad Powers, which recently, had a TV series on Hulu. So yeah. Michael Waldron is one of the most experienced guys they got in their bullpen, and I'm glad that they're putting him on to.
Also, by the way, this was that's me finding Liquid IV fucking Spider.
There's a shot right there.
There it is. That's right. There it is.
Yeah. Anyway. I mean, Xander did get destroyed, so that is a good question. I was like, how does that all work with the Nova Corps still being around, or if they're just the character rather than the core? So yeah, I'm sure it's going to be interesting, but I would be interested to see where this slotted in the future, release dates for all these Marvel movies post Secret Wars. I presume that's when it's going to be coming out, probably no sooner than a couple of years away. So we'll see. We will see. All right. Well, with that, John, let's go on ahead and finally get to talking about, I think, the best trailer we saw today. Both you and I watched it. You sent the link in our, group chat earlier. I'm sure you guys saw it. Steven was asking about it in the chat earlier. So let's get into it, everybody, because you know that Tom Cruise movie that's coming out later this year that Alejandro Inarritu is working on, has directed? Well, we finally got a trailer for Digger, and we finally see what Tom Cruise looks like. And I mean, I saw one comment on YouTube, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking of, is is that Les Grossman crawled so Digger could walk. And I feel like that is very true. And I'm just gonna say up front, saw the trailer, I know exactly what the synopsis for this movie was talking about, but I still have no fucking idea what half of this movie is going to be. It feels like a mashup of Doctor Strangelove and, Les Grossman, and I'm sure a few other things, as well as like a little bit of Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible, Ethan Hunt character kind of peeking through here and there. But John, like, what did you think about this? This looks pretty epic to me. I can't wait for this movie. I love the aspect ratio too. It feels immersive, and IMAX, that's going to feel wonderful.
I think there was another really good, this one was like, I love how every once in a while Cruise does a movie that's just, oh yeah, I can actually act when I feel like it. So
Yeah, exactly.
honestly, they're not wrong.
Yeah. Oh, and the cat. Oh my God. I was like, what? Is that cat alive? Was that cat supposed to be dead after the first half of the trailer? I could not tell. Like, that whole motif was wild. What did you think about this trailer? This movie, I have no idea. Like, I even though they've given us so much, I still don't know what this movie actually is, other than the fact that it seems to be about a big part of the ice, a big glacier coming loose from the Arctic, and they're like, either is gonna keep floating and causing tsunamis all over the world, or they're gonna like, I don't know, blow it up, and then it's gonna raise the water levels all over the world. I'm like, that feels like, the textbook example of being stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I don't know, like, but it's hilarious. What did you think about the trailer? What do you make of this movie?
It looks fucking bonkers as fuck. I mean, I love just the jowls that fucking Tom Cruise has now, and then it's just completely and utterly ridiculous in every sense of
John
the word.
Great stuff. He's the president. Again, these sequences are like, this is Doctor Strangelove. It felt very Kubrick for parts of the trailer. Yeah, Riz Ahmed in there. Great cast. That cat puppet is gonna win.
You got Sandra Hüller as well.
Hüller, yep. Wow. What a trailer. This is we talked about how it feels like it's a little Doctor Strangelove-y, because it very much feels like, certainly the scenario they set up here feels like, no matter what happens, the world's gonna change in a big way. Because obviously if a big glacier came loose, if it's floating around causing tsunamis is obviously a problem. But, usually what would happen is it would float further south and it would melt and the water level would get raised. So I'm like, at one point in the movie, they're like using F-35s to bomb the thing. And there's a shot. Let me see if I can find it here. This looks like Doctor Strangelove. Like, here, suck it, nature. And then they're like dropping these bombs onto the glacier. I'm like, what is that supposed to do? Break it up in half? Like, I don't understand what the deal is, but I don't know. What are your expectations of this film after seeing the trailer now?
I expect the most bonkers ass fucking movie ever conceived, and I can't wait for it.
Like, it's wild. They put out a teaser yesterday, which is like a small version of basically the trailer, and this, definitely gives you Doctor Strangelove vibes. It's and also the expanded aspect ratio. What is this? Is this meant to be like a parliament?
Gentlemen, stop fighting in here. This is the war room.
Who's that? What's that director? What am I thinking of? Wes
Anderson?
Wes Anderson. This looks like a Wes Anderson movie.
I will say, I think somebody in the comments said it feels like Doctor Strangelove directed by Wes Anderson.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
It's like, especially because I'm like, some of this, it just gets way fictionalized, and then in other moments. yeah, it's just it feels like one hell of a time in the movie theater, and then also with the expanded IMAX ratio, like it looks like they shot a lot of the stuff with wide lenses, you know, ultra wide. There's that shot of the boom boom boom, like it's just sometimes it just a little bit of Tom Cruise shines through in that part of the trailer, you know, just he almost him being himself. But holy crap, what a trailer, John! They actually recently did a press screening, I think too. I think we had like photos from that as well.
That cat puppet is gonna win an Oscar.
I know. That's what I said exactly. It's God, and that motif was throughout the trailer. Figure drawing saying, speaking of Wes Anderson, have you done a Mount Rushmore? We'll get to that maybe one day.
I haven't seen enough fucking of his movies to.
That becomes very niche. Like it's because not a lot of people have seen enough of his movies. But John, do we have the photos? I think they did a press junket for this movie in anticipation for releasing the trailer, which I thought was pretty fantastic. Yeah, they invited a bunch of folks to the Warner Brothers.
Damn, all right, Allison's fiending over here. Like, Jesus Christ.
And Tom Cruise has gone back to his long hair era again. Like, he seems to be changing hairstyles every 6 months, which cool. Tom Cruise wants that Oscar. You better bet your butt that he wants that Oscar.
But here's the thing: he's got some tough competition against, you know,
dude,
good old our boy Ryan for Project Hail Mary.
And they're the Odyssey coming out
for that Oscar.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, it's gonna be tough this year.
And it's two genres that the Academy fucking hates: comedies and science fiction. So probably neither of them are getting the Oscar.
Yeah. By the way, it releases October 2nd. So if you guys were Tony was wondering, October 2nd of this year is when the movie comes out. And you know, it's a time of the year when there's not a lot of other big movies coming out. So I'm sure it's gonna do brilliantly well. Yeah, he does have an honorary Oscar, but I think he wants to win a competitive Oscar. So yeah, I'm sure this press junket helped spread the good word about the film. Also, just for a moment, let's just appreciate the transformation of Tom Cruise into Digger. You know, dig or die. Yeah, we were all wondering what he's gonna look like, and holy hell. I mean, there was a comment in the YouTube trailer where it said, like, this is Tom Cruise hard launching into old age. I was like, you know, like, I kind of get that, but also not. I think Tom Cruise still looks a lot younger than he actually is. So whatever elixir he's drinking, I'm sure it's doing wonders still, even though you can kind of tell he's older. Like, now he's got some wrinkles. He can't hide it forever, but yeah. I mean, it also has been a while. I feel like he's been doing Top Gun and Mission Impossible for the better part of the last decade. So how old is Tropic Thunder? Like 20 years ago almost at this point?
It was 2008.
Yeah, the same year the Dark Knight came. Like, just like, 18 years ago. It's like, it's been a while. It's been a while. I'm glad. This is the kind of stuff, and by the way, this is the kind of stuff that he came over to Warner Brothers to do, and now he's doing movies like this. I think they're still trying to do the Edge of Tomorrow sequel, which is also through Warner Brothers, so we'll see how that goes. And Mr. Digger, your car is ready.
You know what else? Know where it's also been a while we've gotten a movie for? Nightmare on Elm Street. And with that, it's been 16 years since we got a Nightmare or anything in theaters. The remake was the last thing, and that did not turn out that well. So apparently, the studio Paramount has inked a deal with the Wes Craven estate to revive Freddy Krueger. And
hey, good on you, Paramount.
And it will release release it via a newly launched Paramount Primal label, which I think started with Primate. It's kind of like DC Black Label for their comic books, where it's like darker adult shit, and that's probably like dark horror shit. So it exists. It unfortunately exists, but it exists. So with all of this, apparently, considering that this would be the, I believe, first film that would not be at New Line, although ironic since Paramount is buying Warner Brothers, which owns New Line, so Paramount would own New Line. But it's kind of interesting how New Line Cinema was the house that Freddy built, yet Freddy has moved on. He's moved. New Line doesn't need him anymore. So with that, he is going over to the house that the Chode with Lips has built, and that is the new and improved Paramount. And with all of that, apparently, Paramount Pictures has closed a deal for the U.S. rights to the original screenplay of Nightmare on Elm Street, the movie written and directed by Wes Craven that kicked off the popular horror franchise featuring the killer with the metal claw, gloved hand, and burned face. And will adapt it into a new feature. The new Nightmare on Elm Street will hail from Paramount's new genre label, Paramount Primal, led by J.D. Lifshitz and Raphael Margulies, the producer behind films such as Barbarian and Friendship, which is definitely a good sign. The U.S. rights are being licensed from the Craven estate, which includes Craven's widow Aya Labunka and Craven's son Jonathan Craven. The duo will produce the new iteration with Mark Toberoff, the attorney turned producer who specializes in copyright law. Lifshitz and Margulies will executive produce for Paramount Primal. So, yeah.
Nice.
I think this could be a, really interesting movie. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's more than likely going to be a remake or a reboot. But personally, I would love to see Robert Englund don the makeup and the claw one last time and give him a proper swan song to the character. Like, Freddy's Dead killed him, and then he came back for Freddy versus Jason anyway. So technically that iteration of Freddy is alive. Well, I mean, he was decapitated at the end of that movie, but he lives because it's Freddy.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't die. So I would say give Robert Englund like a proper swan song for the character. Have him either die an actual real final death, or have him, go off into the sunset. Maybe he goes to heaven. I mean, there are probably worse people in heaven anyway. But
Yeah, John, I was gonna say, so I just did some research on this while you were talking about it. So Paramount Primal, which did release Primate, and they also have a movie with Dave Boyle, who's working on a sci-fi horror movie. This is all, being led by Walter Hamada, the former head of DC Films at Warner Brothers. He went over to Paramount, and they just renewed his deal,
which is also
recently.
ironic.
Yeah, very ironic. So he heads Paramount Primal because, of course, he used to be in charge of New Line back in the day. So again, I'm guessing New Line and Paramount Primal might either merge or will very much run in parallel if and when that merger goes through. But yeah, I mean, Paramount is picking up the franchise because the rights lapsed. New Line does not have it anymore. But yeah, I mean, look, Walter Hamada is the producer behind Paramount Primal, and it looks like they'll be bringing us another Nightmare on Elm Street.
Because I think I think Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 was a co-production with New Line and Platinum Dunes, if I remember correctly.
I think so. Yeah. And then it's kind of like something similar to what happened with the Tomb Raider franchise, which I think it was it Sony that did the Alicia Vikander movie? Or was it Lionsgate? Whoever did it, those rights lapsed, and then now Amazon MGM picked it up, and they're doing that TV series for Prime Video. So similar to that, I mean, the original estate of Wes Craven owns the rights. So yeah, hey, good for Paramount. They need more franchises, regardless of whether the merger happens or not. So, and Paramount Primal is their new horror label. So we'll leave that there. But you know what, John? We're only just getting started talking about horror movies for the night, because here we go. It's time for Mount Rushmore Monday. You guys are waiting for it. It's finally here. We're going to talk about horror movies. You guys picked them out. We actually have a record 12 Mount Rushmores today. We also got Liz's picks, and we got a ton of yours. So, and we know we got picks from Tony. So Tony, stick around. I don't know if we got anything for MTG this week, but we did get picks from Enterprising.
I also personally got ones from Right Dude. I just put it in the banner chat.
So yeah, we will get into that as we go forward. But I made graphics for 12 sets of picks, and then I'm sure we'll have the ones that we missed out, because if you guys submitted them really late, then obviously we can't get them into we won't have photos for them. We will talk about it, but anyway, let's get into the horror movies. You guys voted for it. That's how we got here. That won the poll. So without further ado, Mount Rushmore of horror movies, John. Let's walk through the picks. We got a dozen of them to get through. Lots to get through.
So we have Enterprising's Mount Rushmore, very good pick. Speaking of Nightmare on Elm Street, we have Halloween, got Nightmare on Elm Street, we got The Babadook, and we got The Exorcist. and I think these are very, very, very solid picks. Um, I mean, Halloween
Agreed.
and Nightmare, some of the greatest slashers of all time. Babadook, modern classic, and then Exorcist, many said was considered like the scariest film ever made. And so, yeah, I think this is a very good list. Because the thing is, it was very difficult. I was trying to go for like historical point of view, but I could like come up with 5 different Mount Rushmores for 5 different, like I have the historical point of
Yeah.
view, the scariest point of
Yeah.
view, the my favorites,
Yeah.
subgenres. There's
Movie
so much
Spreads
you
got
can do
their
for horror.
picks.
Honestly, we
Yeah.
could do like specific ones like zombie movies or something like that, or
Yeah,
slasher
we'll
movies.
we'll look into
So
that for ideas for future polls. But yeah, I want to keep it like, let's start with big topics because I think that's what
yeah,
makes it so much fun. Because you got to narrow it
maybe in
down.
like
That's the challenge.
October we can try to do like like
I guess
try
a
to do like
theme,
a
yeah.
horror version every week.
Like
I
for the
think
whole
that would be
month,
fun.
yeah. But by the way, I think Tony was asking, what's the third one? That's the Babadook. I
That's
think it's called.
Babadook.
I don't know what the movie is.
Babadook, yeah.
Babadook. What is that about, John? I haven't heard that
It
much
is
before.
essentially about it
Hey, Monique, we got your
was
picks
a
too.
mother
Monique says hi.
who was taking care of her child who's clearly like probably on the spectrum. And I think it was her father, her husband, his father, I
Oh, you will
think
see Exorcist
died
a
in a
lot.
car
Oh,
accident
oh,
on the way to the hospital, and she's kind of been blaming her son ever
okay.
since because she was pregnant with him and like the father wasn't, was driving haphazardly. So she like kind of has this resentment, and then she eventually finds like this book that, like she just finds it, and she like starts to get like tormented by this like unseen force that calls himself the Babadook. So it was like all the rage back in 2014. Like you couldn't go anywhere on the internet without seeing the Babadook. It's an Australian horror film, very well done. It was directed by Jennifer Kent. I think she's done 1 or 2 movies since then. But I think it's very well done. I haven't watched it in years, but I would say pretty much everyone says like it's a phenomenal movie, but the kid is ungodly fucking annoying. And yeah, even I would have to agree with that. So yeah, Babadook, very well done. All of these are, well, first 3 are great films. I'm not a Exorcist fan personally, but I understand its place in like horror history. So yeah, I think
well, get ready, John, because The Exorcist might be the MVP of today's Mount
oh
Rushmore
yeah,
battle.
100%. I mean, that was considered the scariest movie ever made. Although looking back, it's not scary at all. But I will say the climax
Anyway,
is great. The power of Christ compels you. Exorcist 3 is better. Ninth Configuration is better.
yeah.
Both William Peter Blatty's movies he directed were way better than The Exorcist. So
Yeah. All right. Well, great picks for Enterprising. Let's move on. We got Marco's picks. Marco sent in his picks.
Marco,
You got
yes,
4
we
great ones.
have
Again, The Exorcist is in there.
going down to 2 great films and then 2 kind of mid movies. Got The Thing, which surprisingly, spoiler alert, is not on my list. Or did I put it? No, I did put it on my list. Okay. I was gonna say like, did I? And then I'm like, because there was one that I was going back and forth with, an 80s movie I was going back and forth. I'll mention that soon. But yeah, I'll talk about that. But Marco, Scream, did a lot for the 90s and the slasher genre. Then The Thing, greatest of all time. Alien, one of the greatest of all time, and then The Exorcist, considered the scariest of all time. So but yeah.
The Thing is also going to be popular today.
Yes. Well, I mean, deservedly so. But yeah, another great list. Next up, we have an interesting one. We have Tony's.
Hey.
Yes, hard agree, Caleb. Nightmare on Elm Street, The Thing, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives.
Very specific.
Arguably the best Friday the 13th movie. I mean, I know, don't worry. I've seen it 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Yeah, I'm with you there, Beetlejuice. I'm with you. So, I haven't seen 167 times, but yeah, Jason Lives, arguably the best Friday the 13th movie, although it's tied with Part 4. Part 4 is probably the best slasher. Jason Lives is probably like best like story wise, but both are great. Both are great. And then Jaws, classic. You know, it has not just horror, but like fucking every genre under the sun, and does every single one impeccably. So, you know,
I don't think The Shining was on anybody's list, unfortunately.
good. You guys are based. Fuck The Shining. The Shining sucks ass. Anyway. But Jason X is peak. I fucking love Jason X. Jason X is so, but that's like more like almost so bad it's good. But like it's like it's Jason Voorhees in fucking space, bro. Like, come on. But yeah. I mean, I have the Thing poster. I have it. It's up on my wall.
But hey, you got Jaws on there, John. You got to list out the movies before.
I said Jaws. You just weren't fucking paying attention. So I said, and then we got Jaws. I said we got Jaws. Every genre under the sun.
Yes.
Fucking run back the tape. Fucking goddamn.
All right. The only time we get Jaws on tonight's list, by the way.
I know. Well, I mean, I did put someone they don't have a graphic, but I did have someone last minute edition that does have Jaws. So.
Okay, we'll get to those at the end. Yeah.
But then we got Johnny Rico's, which again is a very different but intriguing list. I'll mention Jason in Space because Jason X is fucking awesome, Tony. Anyway, Return of the Living Dead, which is it was a split off between George Romero and another producer who I don't know the name of. George Romero, this guy owned the Of the Living Dead like name. Well, George Romero held on to the rights of like the story, hence why Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead were not called The Living Dead, because he didn't own the copyright on the name The Living Dead. So this guy who did own the name, who worked with George Romero on those films, would produce this film, was I believe co-written and directed by Dan O'Bannon, who, you know, famously wrote Alien, which is, well, the sequel is on this list. But yeah, Return of the Living Dead is awesome. So fun. Linnea Quigley. Just in general. But yeah, fucking awesome, ridiculous movie. Probably has the most powerful zombies ever put to film, because the thing is, everyone's like, oh, kill the brain. But the thing is, in this movie, Return of the Living Dead, they become the gas that makes the dead zombies is it's not through their brain, it's through their nervous system, and you can't exactly kill a nervous system. So like you can like chop off a hand and the hand will start like going off on its own. So that makes them the most powerful zombies. Hence why what happens at the end of the film happens. But great. No, it was the Tar Zombie. Tar Zombie is his name. But great stuff. I love Return of the Living Dead. One of the best horror comedies of all time. Although Tom Matthews, who was on Tony's list, is in that movie. He was in Jason Lives, also in Return of the Living Dead. Nightmare on Elm Street, classic. Child's Play, kind of a shitty movie, but I know a lot of people like it. So, and then Aliens, classic. A lot of people don't view it as a horror movie. It's a fucking horror movie, okay? There are some horror. I watched Aliens recently. That's a fucking horrifying movie. So, yeah, y'all. Oh, it's sci-fi. No, it's horror sci-fi. Shut up.
I'm glad they didn't kill the young girl, because like I was like, I'm gonna turn this thing off the moment to do that.
Well, don't watch Alien 3 then.
I know. I haven't for that exact reason. By the way, Child's Play also shows up a few times. And no, John, I would not confuse it with Chucky the TV show.
Well, I don't know if like, because the thing is, everyone calls it Chucky, so it's just like, oh, I gotta make sure that like, because that's kind of the euphemism, like, because there's also the remake. There's like, there is Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky. It can be confusing, so that's why I'm like, let me clear it up just in case. So
all good.
Yeah. We've had that happen, so we didn't want that to happen again. Terminator, also a great horror movie. But Alien 3 is goated. Fuck off. Anyway, Caleb. Oh my God, Caleb put
There's
fucking
Caleb's
David Lynch
fist.
movie on this list. That's crazy, bro. Oh my God, Caleb and David Lynch go fucking together like dead skunk and dog shit. But yeah,
Wow.
Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, which it was considered at the time like one of the worst things ever. Everyone hated it. It was like, oh my God, it sucks. But it has since garnered cult following. And then we have, I believe that's Shin Godzilla. Is that Shin Godzilla?
That is Shin Godzilla, yes.
Yes, I've heard Shin Godzilla is very good. I have not seen it, but I've heard it's great. And then we got Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, and Doctor Sleep. This just reads, God, Caleb, you're so fucking pretentious, bro. Like, it's like I don't have like the obvious one. I don't have Halloween or Nightmare, and I was like, ooh, but I got Sweeney Todd on my list. Ooh, aren't you so fucking special? I have David Lynch. Fucking excuse me. I didn't know the Queen was coming by. Fucking dickhead. Anyway.
See, exactly. That's why don't be like Caleb, pretentious movie snob.
But I can't be. Okay, here's the thing. I've only seen one of these movies, and Doctor Sleep is goated. Like, I will say, Doctor Sleep not
Dr.
only
Sleep
is
is
goated,
great.
but it's better than The Shining. There, I fucking said it. Stanley Kubrick can suck my nuts. Anyway, Doctor Sleep is great. Anywho, good connection there. Very nice. Although we didn't put part 2 on the list, but I appreciate that. Very, very good fun fact there. Then we got Movie Spud.
Hey,
we
Movie
have
Spud. Hey.
a very weird list, but like a good one. I mean, you have
Okay,
Psycho.
I did want to say there is the older version of The Haunting from like the 30s or 40s. I just couldn't tell
The
which version
60s,
you wanted.
Dan. It
The
was
60s?
1963.
Whatever. I don't care. It was decades ago. I'm just saying I put the Catherine Zeta-Jones one in there because, obvious reasons.
Why? Like, oh God. Movie
I
Spud,
was-
can you like help us out? Did you mean the original film? I think Movie Spud meant the original The Haunting.
I just
that's
looked
the better
like
movie.
unless you gotta because there's so many of these horror movies that have been remade with the same titles. Like you gotta give me the year because I like sometimes it's obvious, other times it's not. I knew there were 2 versions and I just made it was a 50-50 call. So
So anyway, so we have we got our first Psycho. That's not going to be the last time. We got The Thing, we got The Exorcist, and I assume The Shining or The Haunting from 1963. Yes, okay, so Movie Spud is in fact goated. He got the 1960s version, which I will say I didn't love as much as everyone else does. I think it's good. I think the original Haunting is a good film. I thought The Innocents was better. I prefer The Innocents. If you have not seen The Innocents, it's pretty much The Haunting, but way better and way more interesting to me personally. Thank you, Movie Spud. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces, and it's pretty terrible. It's doing wiser with the original. Yes, thank you, Movie Spud. I couldn't get into it. Like, it's good. I think the beginning and the end are really good, but the middle is kind of slow and it's not engaging. But The Innocents is very good. Like, that's a great ghost story to me personally. But I will appreciate Movie Spud putting the original Haunting on the list. That's why when I submitted my list, I'm like, I have to put this because like literally
I'm just saying.
every single one of my picks has been remade. So I was like, I gotta make sure I have the right one.
It's like if you did a like
that's
remakes and you're like
that's just The Shining. That's just the Haunting. The Shining, nothing where nothing happens is just The Shining. Nothing happens in that movie, and it's boring. There, I said it. Anyway,
I'm just saying when there's a movie that's like it's like if you had I don't know, for whatever reason A Star Is Born, you have to tell me which one because there's like 5 of them. So it's like Halloween, right? Like whenever you do, I think whoever put Halloween in theirs, they said what was the original one? Who was it directed by? John Carpenter's Halloween. So I knew to go for that one, not the new. Like it's just again, sometimes you just gotta. The title's the same. It's like if you just said Superman, I'm like, I don't know if you're talking about Christopher Reeve Superman or you're talking about the David Cornswell Superman. So
yeah, there's technically 3 different versions of The Thing. There's 2 different Psychos. I think the only one like you could be okay with is The Exorcist. The only other thing is The Show, but I don't think anyone's talking about The Show. So like, yeah, I think this is
Yeah.
Oh my god, I heard the turning was so fucking bad. Watch The Innocents. Watch the original. It's so fucking good. Oh my god, Freddie Francis, Jack Clayton, Deborah Carr, who is like considered one of the all-time greatest actresses of all time. My mom loves Deborah Carr. And she said she's like, the best performance I ever gave was in The Innocents. So it's like, go fucking watch it. I have the Criterion. It's so much better than The Haunting. So much better. Carnival of Souls. See, Movie Spud's goated. Like,
Sorry, Tony. See you later.
Here's the thing. He's like a classic fan, but not pretentious like Caleb. So that's why Movie Spud wins. I think I said that last time too. I think Movie Spud also had a goated like list. Last night also. Good night, Tony. It's okay. Please get sleep. If you're feeling tired, this will be up tomorrow. We're fine. Yeah. You know what? But the thing is, it's classics. It's classics. It's like, oh,
Tony's back.
We got this.
Tony's back. All right, let's keep going. We got more picks. We got great picks from Movie Spud.
Anyway, so now we have Liz's fucking horrendously awful list. Good thing she's not here, because this is like the worst one. Outside of The Descent, this is a horrible list. I'm just
okay. Look, I'm just gonna, on behalf of Liz, I'm just gonna preface those 4 picks by saying this is what she said. She said she had Psycho, but knew one of y'all was gonna say it, so I know Psycho's on multiple lists, so she didn't include it because she wanted to kind of like keep her list of movies, like she wanted to include as many movies as possible in the, you know, the grander scheme of things. She also said that mine are all things that truly scare me, and then Scream, because high school nostalgia, which Scream is in there. So look, for her, this is a very personal, you know, list, and also Liz is not a big horror fan, so I mean, you know, again, I'm taking that within context.
M2G. Well, we have The Descent right here. I will say The Descent is a phenomenal movie. That is a truly amazing movie. It's pretty much The Thing in a cave, but with women. Like, that's essentially The Descent. Yeah. Not quite as good as The Thing, but very good. And only the English cut. The American cut is dog water because it cuts out the ending and the movie doesn't make sense. Fuck the American cut of this movie. Don't watch it. Go make sure to watch the unrated English original cut, because goddamn.
Hey, Liz was definitely very anti-pretentious. Yeah. She didn't go for like
Child's Play, which I couldn't get into Child's Play. Like, it wasn't scary. It was kind of laughable. It was kind of not very interesting. The Strangers is fucking dog shit. I don't get how anyone can find that scary. I don't get how anyone can find that good. I fucking hated The Strangers. That was such fucking like, the concept is really good. The premise is great. But like, Liv Tyler and the other guy, I think Scott Speedman is his name, they have to be some of the dumbest fucking people in a horror movie I've ever seen. Like, When Evil Lurks was pretty bad in terms of like dumbasses in a horror movie. The Stranger, they have to be the dumbest people in a horror movie, because like literally every choice, every chance of escape, and you don't take it. And at the end, I was like, honestly, you kind of deserve to die. At this point, you are so fucking inept and stupid that I don't want you to procreate and make another child. You are so fucking stupid. Honestly, I was happy they died.
Honestly, you know what though? I'm like, hey, Liv Tyler is easy on the eyes, and you know what? That keeps you interested.
I mean, so Scott Speedman, he's looking good, but like, damn, I fucking hated The Stranger. So it's so bad because people love that movie, and I'm like, why? It's so bad. Scream is fun.
Well, but then you know, and you got the original Scream movie in there.
I mean, here's the thing. I will say this. I agree with Caleb that I do prefer New Nightmare. I've come to respect the Wes Craven Scream movies only because Scream 5 was so atrocious that I'm like, and misunderstood the franchise entirely, that I'm like, you know what? I've made my peace with Scream. I don't love them like everybody else does, but I think they're fine. I think they're perfectly serviceable movies. It's just, you know, Radio Silence did just such a terrible job that I'm like, all right, okay. Wes Craven, I'm sorry, but I don't love them, but I respect what you did.
Also, respect to the first Scream movie. Got, you know, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Drew Barrymore, you know, Neve Campbell. Great stuff. Cool. Good list. Good list from Liz. Again, not a big horror fan. I mean, I'm surprised she put those movies on the list if she's not a horror fan.
So this is my
anyway,
list.
now we get to John's list. Hey.
I was trying to go for like a history and like a historical point of view, like in terms of what these movies did for horror movies. Cabin of Dr. Caligari, I just rewatched it recently. It's a great movie. It's for free. It's like 74 minutes.
Is this from the 30s? I feel like there was one movie
from
that
1920.
20. Wow. Okay. It's black and white, obviously. Yeah.
So the reason
does it have sound? Like, is there dialogue?
No, it's a silent
film. Talkie? It's a silent film. Okay, cool.
Because sound wasn't a thing until 1927. So
yeah, I was gonna say like
it's not the first horror feature. I believe that was L'Inferno from 1911. But Cabin of Dr. Caligari is kind of the retroactive like first horror feature. It's very simplistic. It is essentially a mystic brings a somnambulist who is a sleepwalker to this fair, and like chaos ensues. So very simple movie. It actually has an effective ending. It's like kind of the idea of like a twist ending, one of the first like twist endings ever put to film, and I think it was integral because like this was kind of opened the floodgates of like horror films in like horror on film, period. Like it's not the first. There were other short films, like I remember there was the Frankenstein from 1910, and God knows plenty of like a lot of short films, but this was like the first real like horror feature that got into the mainstream and really is like, oh, horror on film, this is okay, that's something. So that was like the thing that popularized horror on film. Then you have Psycho, which is like Alfred Hitchcock, classic, push the idea of the slasher film, the proto slasher, if you will, great adaptation of the book. And it did a lot because that was like, even though it didn't do well critically at the time, it was like a big leap. Because Psycho, I don't want to say it was the reason why, but Psycho was like the first domino in terms of the studio system dying. Because it was so shocking. The censors were very hard on the film. I mean, the censors and Alfred Hitchcock were like always at each other's throats. So Psycho was like kind of the movie that was like, this was the stepping stone to like end the current Hollywood system. And because, I'll get into why I picked Silence of the Lambs, and we'll get into that. So with Psycho, it did a lot for the movie industry. It did a lot for Hollywood, and it was an important film in terms of it was a very important film in terms of the horror industry. Then The Thing, I genuinely think that's the greatest movie of all time. The greatest horror film.
And by the way, I'm gonna give you guys the most popular picks from all of these lists at the end. We do have a graphic for that, so don't you worry, Tony. But anyway,
so I have gone on and on how much I love The Thing, how much I think it's the greatest horror film of all time. It's John Carpenter's greatest film. It was a toss-up between this and The Evil Dead, because I do genuinely believe that Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead is one of the most important independent films of all time, because that did a lot for not just the genre, but for that was the movie that started the whole like cabin in the woods trope. That was what started it essentially. And that was the Evil Dead did so much. I do genuinely believe it is the greatest achievement in independent filmmaking. Like, if you want to be a filmmaker, you need to watch The Evil Dead. Like, if you want to make movies, mainly direct, but like I would say any part of movies, you need to watch The Evil Dead. The Evil Dead should be required viewing in every film school across the fucking world. That is how important I believe The Evil Dead is. However, I do think The Thing is the better movie. I think it's perfect. I think even though it failed at the time. I just couldn't not put it on the list because I loved I love the movie, but I genuinely believe it's a great movie, and many would agree with me, and it's great. So then we get to Silence of the Lambs. Why is Silence of the Lambs on this list? Because it did something very important for horror films. It won Best Fucking Picture at the Oscars. Something little fucking teeny tiny Manhunter fucking couldn't. So eat your ass with fucking Manhunter, which, by the way, not that great of a movie. There, I said it. Red Dragon was better. Anyway, so Silence of the Lambs showed, even though the fucking Academy didn't want to admit it, and it was the only time to do so, Silence of the Lambs showed that no matter what, you, like, through fierce determination, through greatness, you can fucking get a horror film to win Best Picture. And I think that was really important and showed that, you know what, because to be fair, there had been nominations through the past of Best Picture. Silence of the Lambs did something very important in the horror film industry, and that is it won Best Picture, which is something that a horror film has not done since. Fuck you, the Academy, for picking fucking one battle after another over Sinners. Eat my ass. But Silence of the Lambs achieved that and could make it, even though it's been 35 years since this movie came out, it still could make the possibility for every horror fan out there that it could win Best Picture. So that is why I picked. Well, it doesn't matter what you fucking think. It won Best Picture. It's important. That's why I went with this fucking list. Cabin of Dr. Caligari was important because it was like the first mainstream horror feature. Psycho was important because it pretty much it was the domino effect that brought down the Hollywood system and showed horror movies in the mainstream and could be higher brow. The Thing is the greatest. The Silence of the Lambs hit Best Picture. These are all important films in that industry, and they did a lot. I could have picked a million other fucking horror movies, but these are the ones that I view as Mount Rushmore, the important ones. Many, many, many films could have been on this list. I already mentioned The Evil Dead. I think that's an important film. I think The Exorcist is an important film. Jaws, Halloween, fucking, The Wolfman, Frankenstein, Dracula. There are so many important horror movies. I could go by decade in terms of Mount Rushmore of horror films. There's Bride of Frankenstein is another one. Nosferatu, another one. Phantom Carriage. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Any
None of those
version.
are actually on this list,
You
by the way.
could
Great picks.
fucking go for so many Mount Rushmore movies. These are the ones I thought were the most important.
It could be only before
the horror industry. So that's what I picked. Cabinet is important. Psycho is important. The Thing is important. Silence of the Lambs is important. It doesn't fucking matter. I think it's made because I'm a little bitch boy who has to be a fucking pretentious twat. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what I think. So I put it on the list. And what they did for horror matters. Bam. So that's why I picked these 4 films.
Great.
Anyway, there we go.
Cool. Great list, John.
Dans, why don't you explain yours?
So I, much like Liz, I'm not like a traditional horror fan. I like, sci-fi horror. Even then, I'm not a big fan of body horror. I don't like movies that lean heavily on jump scares because I'm like, I can never really buy into that. And for me personally, I like horror movies, that are more psychological thrillers, psychological horror, or existential horror, I like to call it.
Right. Shutter Island's a
wait,
great
did you
movie,
just time out Caleb?
I did, because he's fucking being a prick. All right, like he's asking for it now. It's like I gave like anyway. Horror is the fuck is the thing. This no pun intended. It's my thing. It's the thing. It's the thing I'm most passionate
Okay,
about.
I know.
picked-
All right,
I
cool.
fucking curated this goddamn list to make sure I picked the most fucking important ones. And then you gotta have a little fucking twat being a fucking like, oh, they're generic. You know why you think they're generic? Because they're mentioned everywhere. They're mentioned by great people all the fucking time. You know why? Because they're fucking great. You get beaten your head into them all the time. Psycho, Exorcist, Halloween. You know why? Because they are fucking constant. Because they're fucking great. Because everybody and your fucking mother will say they're fucking great. And that's why they're on so many people's lists. Because they fucking work. Because people...
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening.
That's why. That's why they fucking work. They always work. And you're like, it's generic. Okay, so I didn't fucking I didn't pull a David Lynch movie out of my fucking ass. Maybe next time I'll pick the fucking Elephant Man to fucking get your fucking little dick wet so you can mention fucking David Lynch. All right, we got it. Fucking making me hate David Lynch over here. This is what you're doing to me. You're making me hate David Lynch. This is what you do. Fuck you. Also, Shutter Island, Jurassic Park, great movies. Anyway, damn, what are you trying to say?
I was just saying, so I'm not a big horror fan. I like more psychological thrillers, existential horror, sci-fi horror. I don't do body horror very much. I've seen like the Nun movies and stuff. And I'm like, I can't even believe the suspension of disbelief goes away pretty quickly for me. So I can't get into those movies as much. So yeah, I mean, and so setting that as like the baseline for, the kind of horror movies I do enjoy. I will say, like, again, not a big jump scare horror person either. I think that just is like a crutch that a lot of horror movies use.
I think they're cheap.
So yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, look, Shutter Island, I think, is one of Martin Scorsese's most underrated movies. It's one of the best horror psychological thriller movies ever. That's the kind of movie you watch and then you can't fall asleep. And I've seen this movie a dozen times, and I do not recommend watching it when the sun is down.
I finally watched it a couple of years ago, and I'm like, damn.
Dude, and the thing is, you watch it more than once, you will see things in the movie that you didn't realize that there's elements of like
it's definitely got that rewatchable together. Unfortunately, the thing is, it's one of the most popular twists of all time, so I got it spoiled for me. But that's a solid pick. Like that, and I think that and Cape Fear are the only movies that Scorsese really went into horror with.
Horror, yeah. Yeah, no, that's true.
Is coming to mind. Maybe.
I mean, unless like Killers of the Flower Moon kind of has horror elements in the different kind of a way, not really a literal sense. But I mean, then you got Jurassic Park. I mean, Jurassic Park is an easy one because it's like when a mainstream horror, sci-fi horror, probably also like one of the most well-known things. That it's. I feel like a lot of people might say that's like horror is secondary to the action adventure in the movie, but I mean, I feel like every good Jurassic Park movie tends to become a horror movie by the time you get to the second act. When shit goes sideways, you don't want to be getting chased by dinosaurs. So, especially that first one, Steven Spielberg, the CGI of the time, and mixing that in with all the animatronics and just the filmmaking techniques is Steven Spielberg. At the peak of his prime. Then, of course, I've got a movie called Kaal, Kaal. It's a Bollywood movie. It's from back in the day, relatively obscure for most people. I'm sure nobody knows about this. You got Ajay Devgan there, who kind of plays the villain of the movie. Basically, you got like these four. There's like two dudes and then there's two gals. The got cut off on the poster here, but there's two couples that go into. Basically, they're going camping, and then they get hunted by this mystic lion or tiger creature. And apparently, this guy in the middle, Ajay Devgan, who was also in RRR years later, he apparently is like this mystic who kind of helps him navigate it. But at the end, we find out that he's the spirit that possesses the tiger. And I'm not giving away the actual ending of the movie. I'm just saying that's part of the film. And I remember watching this when I was young, and it was scary as fuck. And
the way it like sounded at first, you're like, oh, it's kind of like the most dangerous game. But then I'm like, no, okay, it's not. So
if you watch this movie, it is. I feel like if this is one of those movies which translates well across cultural lines, in the sense that there's a lot of Bollywood movies that really work well if you know about the cultural zeitgeist of that
Right.
part of the world. This is one of those movies that felt like, it had a lot of those Western movie sensibilities as a horror film. Also, Bollywood didn't do a lot of horror, so this, even today, that's a personal favorite of mine. Going back to, like, again, I saw this probably when I was way too young, and so but if you Google it and if you get a chance to watch it, then I don't know, it might be on Netflix or something, but it's not a very well-known movie, but it is well-known in my personal circle. So then of course I included I Am Legend. Again, I'm a fan of sci-fi horror, and I feel like I Am Legend, while it is definitely like a zombie apocalypse film, it is probably also one of the scariest zombie apocalypse films I've ever seen. And I mentioned earlier existential dread, right? That's the kind of horror, like the psychological thriller, and I feel like I Am Legend and Shutter Island firmly fit into that, especially even more so for I Am Legend. And yeah, I love this movie. It's a good pick. I don't know if it's a Mount Rushmore of the greatest horror movies of all time.
I couldn't get into I Am Legend. Which ending do you prefer? Do you prefer the original or the alternate ending?
The original is the one where he dies in the lab, right? Is that am I thinking about the right? That's the one. I mean, that's the one that I've always really seen, so I prefer that one more so than the other. So but hey, this is also famously the movie that predicted BVS, Batman v Superman.
Well, not really, but yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's anyway.
And Teen Titans. There's a Teen Titans poster in the background.
Yes,
too.
You're right. Okay.
So
what didn't they say they were going to work on a sequel for this? I don't know how that would work. Was it?
Well, because it's based on the alternate ending where he lives. Okay. That's why. Okay. Because that was more in tune with the book. That's what they wanted to do. And then test screenings were like, no, I don't want to think. I don't want to think or anything. So they changed it so that he dies, and then
I mean, you know what? If you're getting a sequel, I'd prefer that. You know what? Yeah. We need, because then you can Will Smith was a box office star, and I don't think he has the pulling power today that he did back then, but he missed out on so many opportunities of being like, I don't do sequels, speaking of being pretentious. So yeah, but look, these are a lot of personal picks for me, so I'm not saying this is the definitive horror Mount Rushmore. It certainly is not, but yeah, I enjoy these movies. I thought, for me personally, these were fun. I think Shutter Island for me is the best of these bunch, if you had to pick one of the four, but for me, these are my four. Now, of course, later in the day, some of you guys also sent in your picks. Now, Monique, since you are watching, let's talk about your picks, Monique, and you can tell us why you picked those. John, you want to walk us through Monique's picks?
Well, the first one, I don't know what the first one is.
It's called Before I Go to Sleep. Of course, you got
I've never
Nicole
heard of that
Kidman.
before.
Is that Mark Strong?
Is that
and Colin Firth? Colin Firth and Mark Strong.
Okay, I know, and then I know Planet Terror.
Yep.
Ridiculous, bonkers movie. I haven't seen it, but I know of it. And then Memento, which I guess kind of counts as like a thriller.
It is
horror thriller,
again thriller horror, thriller. Especially with the way the movie ends, is like, oh shit.
And then the last one, I don't know. Is that Texas Chainsaw?
So,
I don't know.
No. You got Alexander Daddario. You have, I think this also had the Tooch in it, Stanley Tucci. You have Sir Ben Kingsley, and of course, I know why Monique picked this movie, because it's got Henry freaking Cavill in it. This used to be, before it got released, I think it got a big, like, they rescheduled the release date and changed up the marketing. It was originally called Nomis, I think, and then ultimately when it released, John, it was called Night Hunter. So I think Night Hunter came up earlier in the conversation.
Not Night of the Hunter? Because
no, it was just
I know
Night
that
Hunter.
movie. I haven't seen either film.
So
yeah,
I mean,
Texas
Monique, this is
Chainsaw
a good
3D,
list.
which was we don't talk.
I wanted to see Before I Go to Sleep. I think that was one that was like on my list when it came out, and then I never got to it. So I think I'm that good reminder, because I forgot this movie existed.
Unique list. So Caleb, I think, likes it because it's nice and unique, not generic.
He said no comment. Because basically, like, dude,
you know what? I think I might have
Before I Go to
heard of
Sleep
that.
sounds like that Kerry Washington show that's on Apple.
Is
like, it's
Before I Go to
similar
Sleep-
idea.
Is that the one with like where she's like an astronaut or something? Is that the one I'm thinking of, or am I thinking of something different?
Was that was a show with Noomi Rapace on Apple TV?
No. There was a movie where she was like where I think somebody was like an astronaut. It was a movie. She comes back down to Earth, and like they blame it on like, oh, because you're getting accustomed to Earth again, you're not making sense. I think she like crashed or something.
Oh, okay. So it was she has anterograde amnesia, unable to form new memories. her husband Ben, which is Colin Firth, and the other. So she's reacquainted with him and the other constants in her life in accordance to her doctor Mark Strong, whose instructions are Christine keeps a video diary that she starts to uncover
Okay,
terrifying
not the
truths about
same
the
movie I
past.
was thinking of, but I
Began to
remember there
question
was
everyone
like
around her.
some astronaut
Okay.
that like came
Dude,
down.
I thought that was the Noomi Rapace TV show on Apple TV. I forgot what it was called, but like it only lasted a season. Yeah, the whole not trust. There's currently a show running on Apple TV that's with Kerry Washington in the lead.
You're thinking of
Similar
Constellation,
idea.
but that's not what I
Yes.
was thinking of. It was a movie like I think like she
Oh, yeah,
like got
Monique, I hear you on
pregnant in
that.
space because of an alien. I don't know. It was weird. I remember like seeing
Oh,
like a not like alien as in Sigourney Weaver, but like I remember reading something like that. I
dude,
don't
I'm
know.
pretty sure that was Constellation. I feel like you're just literally giving me even the pregnancy thing. I think it was Constellation, but I don't know. I've seen that premise a few times. But okay. Hey, we got Anthony in the chat. Did you see all those reports coming out? There's going to be a third Avengers movie before the multiverse saga ends called Judgment Day. Are those reports or rumors? Because I didn't see any of those from anybody legitimate. So we'll keep an eye out, Anthony. But if it's something that's actually worth following, we'll get back to it in a future episode. But as of right now, it just seems like it's rumor. It's not really coming from anybody truly reliable or trustworthy. So again, we'll mention it. But anyway, good list. That's a good list. Avengers Judgment Day sounds like a horrible title, by the way. A list that Caleb made for you, John: Exorcist, Psycho, Sounds of the Lambs, and Halloween. There you go. Very unpretentious. Yeah, we don't really trust Alex Perez too much. I wouldn't put too much. Look, he could be right, and if he is, then we'll give him credit. But until then, his credibility and reputation precedes him. But Monique, that's a good list. Also, like, I think Night Hunter being like about getting kidnapped as a woman today, like, I mean, that's the kind of thing that would keep you up at night, right? Like, I see those new Uber ads where they're like, now as a woman you can actually choose to, if it is available near you, you can get an Uber with a female driver so you can feel safer. Which I'm not saying that's always going to work out, but I mean, I hope it does, because if these drivers are supposed to be vetted, but I can imagine the kind of dread that would cause. So yeah, I mean, great picks from Monique. It's all good. I mean, look, everybody can have their opinions. John obviously gets very,
It's just you could have your different opinions. It's just don't
excited
attack mine.
about
That's the thing.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, don't just be respectful, right? Like, it's like, don't, like, you don't have to insult Christopher Nolan to praise David Lynch or insult somebody else's picks to put yours above. It's like, we don't yuck on anybody's okay. Brian's saying it was The Astronaut's Wife. The movie that you're
that's
thinking
what
of.
it was. Okay,
Charlize
that
Theron
was
and
the movie
Johnny
I was-
Depp.
It was Charlize Theron. Okay,
Yes.
different, beautiful blonde.
Okay.
Okay, got it. Now we're good. Cool, great.
I would have to
that
look
was
that
the
up.
movie.
I would have to
Thank
look
you,
that up.
Brian. Really appreciate that. Oh, for what? What is that? For Serpico, Heat, Gladiator, and Saving Private Ryan? What is that? Also, I think Dan froze. I think he had too many things open, which is a shame because he has the Mount Rushmore thing open. But yeah, Anthony, what is this for? I'm anyway. Dan's frozen, so we're gonna just remove him from the time being. But yes, Monique, great list. We have some more. We have JB. It's for horror movies. This person, JB picked Exorcist. Yep, there he goes. Phantoms and two other movies I don't know. Hang on, let me grab it. Hang on. Dan had a lot of stuff going on. Hang on. Here we go. Your computer downloads. I'm just re-uploading it. Yeah, I recently watched Rosemary's Baby. I was actually surprised with how much I liked it. But anyway, it's processing. It's taken forever. When is Dan gonna learn that when you upload too many fucking things on There it is. Okay, now let's move on. And here we go. Now we got JB. So as okay, so that is Frailty. Okay, so Exorcist Phantoms, Frailty, and The Evil Dead. JB, really appreciate you for that one because I really wanted to put The Evil Dead on here and I didn't. But yeah, great list. Exorcist is, as I said, it's decent. Frailty is fantastic. The Evil Dead is amazing. I've never seen Phantom, so I don't know. Although is that Peter O'Toole? Jeez. But yeah, I've heard Phantoms is that's understandable. Roman Polanski's a piece of shit, but yeah.
Wait, did I miss any of the lists, or did you just go one?
No.
Sorry.
I had to upload it because you kind of ducked out. So.
Oh yeah. Sorry, something going on with my router today. It's. I need to.
Also,
look
Dan,
into
you got to
this.
learn not to upload 16 million photos in the backstage because then.
No, it's not
every
because of
time
that. I
sure?
swear it's
Because-
not that. No, it's not that, John. It's something.
Because every time you've
this is
uploaded
happening.
like 10 pics is like you've kind of crashed. So.
It's happened a few times, but like today's something different. But anyway, I mean, hey, my own personal horror journey with my Wi-Fi router, which is acting up. But anyway, yeah, great picks. Oh yeah, we went through Monique's. All right, we do have, I think, movies. Well, no, actually, Movie Spot already did his. We have
already
figure
did Movie
drawings
Spots.
picks. We'll get through. Actually, not figure drawing. Oh yes. We'll get figure drawings and then write dudes towards the end.
So.
Did you go over
yes,
Anthony's picks?
You did The
Sorry.
Birds, Psycho. I don't know if No Country for Old Men's really a horror movie. It's more of a neo-western, but sure. And the original Hills Have Eyes.
Psychological horror.
That's good. I prefer the remake
Hills
of
Have
Hills
Eyes is
Have
good.
Eyes, but the original's great.
The Birds isn't on anybody else's list. That's a good one.
Then we got Terrence's, which is just like
Hey.
automatic classics. You got Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Exorcist, and Alien. Boom.
Boom.
Classic, run the gamut. Really appreciate that, Terrence.
It's a great list.
yeah.
And again, The Exorcist seems to be, the constant across all of these, or most of them. So, yeah, that's a great list. I mean, Terrence, again, I think we saw Halloween pretty early on, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Weren't they doing another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie of some kind? There was, I think there was some rights issues with that, or
Yeah, well, Curry Barker's doing the new one
Oh,
because it
he
just got
is,
acquired by
yeah,
I think it
okay.
was A24.
I think you're right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Again, nice
okay.
mix of sci-fi and horror.
And then,
So,
as you were saying,
thank you,
these are the
Terrence.
most popular
Yes.
picks.
So I have the numbers. Now this is based purely on the ones that, not the ones that you guys sent in while we were live, but based on the ones that we prepared for the
Yes.
show.
Also, I did want to post because I texted a friend of mine because I was curious
Yeah.
what his.
Which-
But right, dude, he has been seen on the show a couple times.
He was in the
but
chat earlier.
Yes, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Evil Dead 2, and Jaws were his favorites. Those are some of his
Yeah.
favorites. He's not a big horror guy, but he really likes those.
And then Figure Drawing sent us his early called The Thing, Psycho, Halloween, and then Day of the Dead. So good picks. Good picks. Day of the Dead, that's the first time. Just some geeky guy popping in. Hello. Thank you for the super chat, giving us his personal favorites of horror movies. Suspiria, The Thing, the 1982 Thing, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and Alien. Yeah, we've seen. I mean, Suspiria is the only one we haven't seen on any other list today. So that's a great. What do you think about that list, John?
Good. Suspiria, definitely really appreciate that one. That's definitely up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of them classics, all of them great. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Caleb, you can't be what you already are. Basic, like you don't.
You're a
need
basic
to worry
bitch,
about
Caleb.
it.
Sorry.
Anyway.
You act pretentious
Um,
theater bitch boy, but you're really just a basic bitch.
Okay, so I have the
Go
numbers
get your
right.
Starbucks matcha latte,
So,
bitch boy.
despite the fact that we had such varied picks, like I think Monique, Liz, and I had probably the most unconventional lists because we are not necessarily pure horror fans, but still, you got a lot of the usual suspects here. So we actually had The Exorcist on 5 lists. The Thing came in second with 4. A Nightmare on Elm Street was on 3 lists, and then you got the original Scream, Child's Play, you got Alien, and then of course you have Halloween, the original Halloween. All 4 of those ended up on 2 lists. So very popular. The Thing and The Exorcist, definitely. I think if you were to, is there an MVP on today's segment of Mount Rushmore Monday? I think it would definitely be, well, The Exorcist.
Do you mean Aliens? Because I know
them.
people don't consider Aliens a horror movie because it's, you know, science fiction action mainly, but it has a lot of horror aspects. But Alien is like pretty much true blue, like horror to the most accurate degree.
It's basically like horror in a sci-fi.
It's a haunted
landscape.
house movie in space. That's like,
yes, exactly.
I'm pretty sure that's what Ridley Scott said it, or Dan O'Bannon said it was. That's it's like pretty much, it's sci-fi horror, but yeah, it's no, Alien is, that is horror, man. It's a very slow burn. I know not a lot of people like that, but Alien, ooh, that is horror to the highest degree. The Changeling is also excellent. If I, you know, again, picking 4. It's hard,
dude,
bro. Hard.
I don't like watching Alien because again, it's like body horror of a different kind, you know? So yeah. Well, hey, you know what, guys? Thank you for sending us your picks. This is becoming more fun than I feel like even Fancast Friday and Tier List Tuesdays are.
Yeah,
you guys send in your
it gets
picks.
heated, bro. I mean, I think both times Caleb got kicked on Mount Rushmore Monday. So
last week it was me. This week it was you doing the kicking. So, but yeah, we got a lot of good lists. So yeah, we'll if you guys look, half of the picks that ended up on the poll this week that ended up, you know, winning with horror movies, those were choices you guys suggested. So I'll bring back a couple of those. But if you have any ideas for what you want on the next poll for Mount Rushmore Monday, give us a shout. Leave it a comment down below. Get into it with us either in the chat or whatever. And we will definitely, you know, look into that, because I think if you guys give us ideas, usually give us better ideas than sometimes what we come up with. So thank you for doing that. And of course, I think this was a lot of fun. This is like 4 weeks in a row now we're doing this. About a month into Mount Rushmore Mondays. It's fantastic. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Just Done Some Geeky Guy, again for the super chat and your picks. Now with that, John, I think it's time for us to go from picks to hits. Let's do some quick hits. We got a lot of them to get to. It's still a Monday night, so lots of news.
And another thing that will trigger Caleb. Oh my God, Christopher Nolan. Sir President Christopher Nolan rejects Matt Damon's defeatist claim that the Odyssey is the last of its kind. There's a defeatist aspect of viewing it that way that I don't agree with. And this is one of the things, whether you like him, whether you hate him, his movies, blah, blah, blah. With Nolan, you can't deny the man is, for a guy that does a lot of dark movies and like very like gritty kind of movies, he is a man filled with hope when it comes to the movie industry and the movie theater industry, you know?
But I feel like a lot of people look, I'm not saying you're wrong. I think I don't ever think he makes dark movies. He makes, I mean, if his movies always have a decent sense of humor. It's like,
no, I just think,
you know what I mean? Like it's,
you know, it's well, I mean, I can't really picture Nolan making a comedy movie, you know? So,
well, true, but like, I mean, it's like, but then you're like, if it's either a comedy or drama.
Good night, Tony.
Good night, Tony. Dark is like, I think that's a broad term, but anyway, okay. Not doing a sidebar because it's quick hits, but John, this is what he specifically said in the paragraph, which I thought was interesting. He was addressing some, because Matt Damon said something which went viral recently. So, because Matt Damon said, like, you know, this had a nostalgic feeling for him making this movie because it's the kind of epic feature, like it felt like for Matt Damon the movies when he started working, and he thinks, you know, that's going away soon. So it was for him, Matt Damon, it was the last chance to do something like this. And, you know, he just doesn't think a lot of people, like, you know, directors, filmmakers, will get the kind of resources to do a movie like this very often, like The Odyssey. And Christopher Nolan was like, look, like, I think he was like, look, I'm being respectful of Matt Damon, of course. He's the president, Sir President Christopher Nolan of the Directors Guild of America. He said, look, I think I know what Damon was driving at, because it does seem like a long time since somebody made a film of this type of way where you travel the world, get together a cast of thousands and so on. But he did say it was you know, he doesn't agree with the defeatist aspect of looking at it. He's like, look, cinema is vital, essential, continues to transform itself. And then he kind of like parlayed that into, look, there's young voices, great new young voices in movies. He mentioned Curry Barker, he mentioned Ken Parsons, and he was like, look, if anything, like, look, Caleb's gonna appreciate this next bit. Get it, Caleb? Look, this is what Nolan said. He said this is why, and never bought into the arguments that young audiences' attention spans are too fried to enjoy a 3-hour Greek epic. Those films, aka Obsession and Backrooms, are so mysterious and ruminative. I mean, parts of Backrooms are like David Lynch at his most obscure, and yet young people can't get enough of them.
Although Caleb did say that Backrooms is essentially David Lynch but boring, so that doesn't mean anything. Anyway.
Oh, you know what else can we do, Caleb?
But yeah, so next up, speaking of Gen Z at the movies, Iman Vellani, who plays Miss Marvel in the MCU, on the statement that Gen Z doesn't care about superhero movies anymore. I'll just quickly say, like, general thoughts is like, I don't agree that Gen Z has stopped caring about superheroes. Maybe they've just stopped feeling obligated to show up. Our generation has grown up with an abundance of superhero movies, so perhaps the novelty has worn off, which is natural, as that's, you know, trends. But, like, you know, just because biblical epics and westerns weren't as popular as they once was, they were still there in films, so, you know.
That they just evolve, yeah.
The bar is higher now. We're looking at stories that feel specific and emotional, especially in the age of AI. We want honesty from our storytellers. We want intelligence respected. If anything, I think Gen Z responds incredibly well to superheroes when they're treated as people first. The themes of grief, identity, legacy, belonging, they're timeless and will never age out. Well, look how that turned out with Supergirl, because it had pretty much all of that, and it didn't work.
Yeah. She also said, like, they go through cycles, and, you know, she's a movie buff when she says westerns, musicals went through cycles, rom-coms did, and it's just, it's, you know, nobody abandoned the genre. It's just you got to find new stories to tell through the genre, which I think the MCU used to do a good job with, and recently has, you know, not been doing that. And I think the Supergirl was an example of that too. So I don't think it's about fatigue in the sense that I think the bar for entry is higher. Because you can't just make a straight up superhero movie anymore, because we have seen that so many times. You got to do something new and unique with it. So, and I think there's still room for that. So, yeah, I mean, we're not at the peak of superhero movies anymore, but I don't think the genre is going anywhere. And I think Iman Vellani is, again, speaking for Gen Z. I think she's speaking quite well there. So, yeah, just look at Obsession and Backrooms again. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, let's keep going.
But next up, somehow Dark Helmet has returned. Spaceballs, the new one, revealed a Comic-Con poster and hilarious new synopsis revealed, which I'll read quickly. Somehow Dark Helmet has returned 40 years after the events of the first Spaceballs, 50 years after the events of Star Wars A New Hope, and 1 year after the events of Devil Wears Prada 2. The galaxy is once again under threat, a threat so evil, so unstoppable, so completely lacking in any original ideas that it has vowed to bring back the past. Every last bit of it. With Lone Star in hiding, Queen Vespa on the throne, and the Schwartz stretched thinner than a franchise releasing TV episodes theatrically, the only hope for the galaxy is Vespa's undisciplined son, Prince Starburst, and a mysterious palace advisor named Destiny. Together, they must find Lone Star, Yogurt, and any other iconic legacy characters fans are demanding before they discover the hard way that while some threats you can fight, the reboot is not one of them. So, and then we ain't found shit, you know? And this is the poster where it's just a giant tube.
Yeah. Great
stuff.
Hall H on Friday, baby. Next Friday, they're gonna be in Hall H. This is great. I love the full circle Moana moment. You know, TV episodes into movies. Yes, great, good stuff. I love Spaceballs. Can't wait to see more of this. Yeah, I agree with the MTG on Clayface, by the way. Yeah.
But anyway, Hamilton star Lin-Manuel Miranda reveals which MCU Spider-Man villain he almost played, and it was Vulture, and I could tell you, it probably wouldn't... I hate Spider-Man Homecoming, but that probably would have been even fucking worse.
Dude, I'm so much happier it was Michael Keaton. It's just like, goddamn. Yep. Anyway, cool. Let's keep going. I'm glad we don't live in that timeline.
But this was great. Speaking of timelines we do live in, this was fucking phenomenal. We only got like a 30-second teaser for Crystal Lake.
Linda freaking Cardellini. Wow.
Yeah, and this looks really good. Like, I love what they're doing. You know, A24, it can bring in some zest in this franchise. I mean, speaking of Nightmare on Elm Street, we have, you know, Crystal Lake coming out. We have, you know, Halloween. They're trying to do another one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is coming back. We're getting, like, the 4 icons of horror franchises soon. So, you know what? This is pretty damn great. I'm
The
excited.
teaser trailer looked nice. Yeah.
Yeah, this looked well. I mean, as
Dude.
nice as a horror show can be, but yeah.
I mean, look, Linda Cardellini's still like a celeb crush. She's Hawkeye's wife in the MCU. You guys forgot about that. And apparently she used to be a SHIELD agent, if you watched the Hawkeye show. But yeah, what a unique pick. I don't think I would have ever thought Linda Cardellini would be doing a horror movie, no less, you know, the mama of Jason. So yeah, this is great. Good stuff. I don't know if you guys saw the teaser. Even as not a big fan of the horror genre, this was a fun teaser. Let's keep going.
Yeah. So next up, The Wrong Girls trailer. Kristen Stewart and Alia Shawkat lead a weed-fueled riff on The Big Lebowski.
This movie trailer is such a trip. Liz put us onto this, and I was like, I gotta mention it because I saw the trailer. I think it comes out later this year. It's wild. I think the reason why Liz loves this is because it's got Lakeith Stanfield in this, and of course you got Kristen Stewart, Alia Shawkat, who was also in the Old Man TV show with Jeff Bridges, and then you got Seth Rogen voicing a cat, I think, in this movie, which is delicious. And then Kate McKinnon's in this. The trailer's fantastic. They go on like they make some magic drug that they get high on, and then all of a sudden it leads them to like this weird journey, almost like a snowball rolling downhill kind of a film. It's a stoner comedy. Dylan Myers directing and wrote the film. So yeah, this is not something that's going to register for most people, but The Wrong Girls, if you haven't heard about it, go and Google the trailer. You might just be interested. So I definitely am.
Hotel
It's a
Transylvania.
neon film, by the way. Yeah.
Apparently coming back, because Sony Animation and Amazon MGM Studios team for The Haunting of Hotel Transylvania, set fall 2027 theatrical release. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, Jenny Tartakovsky's not writing or directing, so I don't care.
Okay.
I don't give a shit. Because the last one where he didn't direct it was bad. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be good.
Cool. I didn't realize that they were
up.
on to the fifth one already.
Hollywood learning the wrong lessons. Once again, TriStar Pictures lands feature rights to Trevor Henderson's viral internet IP Cartoon Cat. So yeah,
everybody wants their internet IP made into a movie.
Yep. And it's gonna be bad because this is the new trend.
Steven Spielberg was involved in the last one we talked about. So yeah, everybody wants a little bit of it. Hey, look, you know what? Again, great for new storytellers getting a chance. It's not all gonna work out though, so good luck to them. I'm sure Backrooms helped this idea move.
Pink Pantheress making feature acting debut in Daniel's secret event pick at Universal.
So he's a British pop star, I think. This also, of course, this movie has Matt Damon in it. Remember, it's got they actually have a bunch of other big actors too. So yeah, cool. We still don't know what the movie's about, but great.
Okay. Speaking of, we were talking about fan posters, and apparently this one, someone made this. A little busy, but I think it's really cool. I think it's definitely better than like half the posters that have been released for this movie. So
I really like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it includes a lot of the elements, and if you go to the next thing, they kind of give you the breakdown of how they put the pieces together. Like if you wanted to try replicating it yourself. Obviously, there's still a lot of art involved in like compositing
I like
this
the
into
pigeon
that.
in the lower right corner.
It catches like all the elements. You got the humor, the visual humor. You got the action. You got all the key points. This looks like a legit. This could be a real poster. Like it's actually really well made. It's really dope. Yeah.
Speaking of movies that should have real posters, is Lego.
The Lego Spider-Man movie, maybe. I love it. This is officially from the Spider-Man account, so I'm sure Marvel did a collab here. Looks great.
Good stuff.
I can't wait for them to recreate, like, dude, you know what? Instead of Disney live-action remakes, I want Lego animated remakes of our favorite movies. I think that would be a fantastic idea.
And there's enough people on, like, Blender and shit like that are doing that, so, yeah. Next up, Jay-Z addresses 3-hour delay at Yankee Stadium concert, says he wanted to avoid fans getting trampled. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience, but I had to make sure everyone was okay. The rapper said after his show started more than 3 hours after its original expected start time. cool. You're still a piece of shit cheater, but like, hey, at least you have more respect for your audience than Travis Scott. So
hey, that's why I put it in here just for you, John. I knew you would appreciate this headline.
I mean, Jay-Z still sucks, but you know, what are you gonna do? Monopoly competition series based on board game passes go at Netflix. The traders, producer Studio Lambert, and Hasbro Entertainment are behind the show. Cool, can't wait.
I don't know how they're gonna turn Monopoly into a game, well, not a game show. It's like a reality series, like a competition series.
Great question, Dan. Anyway, and this peak. Prime Video releases first look at Mike Flanagan's Carrie series, which I cannot fucking wait for because Mike Flanagan is the fucking GOAT and we love him and we stan him. I can't wait for what he has in store for Carrie. So,
yeah, great first look, and yeah, can't wait. I mean, this is the reason why he couldn't direct Clayface, because he was doing this. So, yeah, hopefully this turns out well.
And Exorcist as well.
Oh,
the new Exorcist movie.
That's right.
Exorcist Martyrs is what I think it's called.
Yep, nice. All right, good stuff. Now we get to DC stuff soon. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I get why they don't, because
Dude,
it's just like a little bit awkward now. So I'll see how it goes. And plus, it's just like if you make the quote unquote actress unattractive, then she might get heat on. I mean, look at Millie Alcock. Like, she might get heat online for that.
John, wait till we see.
No,
wait till we get to DCU Daily.
It's just like, I'm just saying, idiots will,
you know, Millie Alcock is not ugly.
Mike Flanagan isn't pretentious. I just said you're pretentious because you have to be fucking like, oh, I'm Mr. Unique because I didn't pick fucking The Thing. Aren't I so damn special? But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Now we move on to DCU Daily. So let's get that shit started and have a good old blessed time.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
All right, welcome on in to another episode of DCU Daily. Of course, lo and behold, I mean, we don't have a lot to do on DCU Daily today, but we do have some good stuff. And yeah, we're all hoping that the DCU continues to stay blessed, or, you know, at least get back to being blessed. But hey, I'm your host, and it's going to be fun to talk about. We have some more Supergirl stuff today. I think Supergirl stuff that you guys will really enjoy. Batman also, we got a brief Batman mention. James Gunn. I think there was something really personal James Gunn shared over the weekend, as well as, of course, a hint at what's coming up for Man of Tomorrow. So to talk about that and so much more, of course, John, what are you most excited about with DC?
I am excited to talk about a little bit of Gunn stuff. I'm curious what he has to say, even if, you know, it's in limbo right now in terms of what, you know, greatness we're getting. But, like, you know, I still like to see, like, what personal things he's talking about.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, Lanterns was the project blessed from the beginning. You know what? You're right. That quote was about Lanterns. I'm pretty sure James Gunn was answering questions at New York Comic Con about Creature Commandos, or after the Creature Commandos panel. But yeah. All right, John, let's see. I think we're going to kick off with DC Quick Hits. Let's get into those first. Walk us through these.
Apparently the first thing is something Fortnite related. Batman relaxing because
taking a break.
Yeah,
Batman takes a break with the mask on and just the undies. What is that? Are those?
I think those are like the trunks.
Boxers? Trunks? Okay.
No, they're not skipping Comic-Con.
DC's gonna be a Comic-Con.
Yeah,
Lanterns,
and they're doing Hall H apparently, because someone was like, "Oh, they're not doing Hall H," and then they're like, "No, we are. You fucking moron! Like, seriously, are you stupid?"
I don't think they're gonna have as big of a panel because it's mostly gonna be focused on Lanterns, and Marvel's doing their thing on Saturday. So again, keep our expectations low because James Gunn has said he doesn't really want to do that the same way like Marvel has done over the years. And Marvel skipped last year because they weren't really ready to show anything. This year is going to be heavy on Doomsday and probably beyond. So DC, I think, let's go in expecting a lot of Lantern stuff, but not necessarily too much more than that. So anyway, let's keep going.
Yep. Next
Yeah.
up, apparently, Cinqua Wall's character in James Gunn's Man of Tomorrow film might be Amazing Man, one of the Golden
Yeah.
Age heroes from the mural that Gunn posted, because there has
That's
been
the image,
multiple
yeah.
Amazing Men. There was like the Golden Age version, and then I think his grandson became the second one. So, so it would make sense that that's like a legacy passed down from like generation to generation. So that could kind of make sense. But the interesting
could be a
bit
good
was
pick.
apparently they're getting busy because
Hey!
Maxima and Amazing Man will be very close and might have a thing going on in Gunn's Man of Tomorrow movie, which goes against what we were kind of saying, because the whole thing with Maxima and Superman is that she's like, hey, Superman, have my children. Like, I need to, you know, procreate to further my world. And I heard, you know, that
Your
you like
parents were
harems,
talking.
so, you know.
Yes.
But the fact that it's just like
Adds up so
apparently,
perfectly.
but apparently that might not be the case, because apparently Maxima can't resist that BBC baby, so you know she might be going after that instead. But yeah,
you know,
that would be an
speaking
interesting
of BBC,
twist.
I keep watching a ton of old Top Gear episodes, you know, on YouTube on the BBC, and I know
I
we're
can't
not
wait
talking
for
about this.
Onslaught. That looks really
Yeah.
good. Speaking of Adrian Arjona.
Dude. By the way, what is that? Not Adrian, but like Isa Gonzalez. What was that? The Netflix sci-fi show about like 3 planets from the sun or whatever. The three body problem. I don't know when that second season is gonna come out, man. Anyway, but yeah, dude, I would love to see Amazing Man, and it would make sense, you know, with the casting, and you could certainly play the part. So I don't blame Maxim. Hey, just some geeky guy, you ain't wrong about that. Maybe Maximus polygamous. I mean, sure. I feel like that's definitely could be a possibility, I suppose. He wants to Rod of Steel. Okay. All right, let's calm down now. You know, you'll have plenty of time to get hot and, you know, bothered in a minute. But I did want to mention, because these posts got taken down, so we're not going to show it. But Atlanta Filming, which is like a local, you know, account from Atlanta, and you know, this guy just follows around what's shooting in the city. They were mentioning that, you know, over the weekend, Maxima was spotted on the set of Man of Tomorrow, but like it was really hard to make out if there was a picture of Maxima or not, and you really couldn't tell even if it was Maxima, no less, who was in the costume. And then also they did confirm that Gorilla Grodd, that new Gorilla Grodd Jimmy Olsen DC crime show, whatever they're going to call it, that's going to start filming in Atlanta in September. So again, they're prepping it now. So just 2 things we can't really show because the posts got taken down. So who knows how true or untrue, although it does line up with everything else that we know. So just wanted to leave that there. But John, let's get into one more quick hit. Remember how Millie Alcock did that amazing photo shoot for Vogue Australia that we busted a myth, and probably busted other things too, about how Millie Alcock is definitely not ugly, but indeed she, you know, Supergirl is gorgeous as she always has been. So with that, there's another magazine photo shoot that Millie Alcock did. Flaunting it for Flaunt magazine, John. Yeah. I don't know where Jalen is, but I'm sure Jalen would enjoy this.
I'm sure Jalen will appreciate this. Like, yeah.
We can cycle through the photos.
Yeah.
There's your Supergirl. There's the shot.
That looks like Victorian like governess vibes right there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's definitely giving goth vibes a little bit.
It's definitely giving goth vibes, yeah.
But you know, it's just the thing is, something I will never understand is like socks with heels. Like, I don't get how that's a trend. I'm sorry, it just looks weird.
It's nouveau chic, I think is the term.
Yeah. Pretentious, just like Caleb. So, you know,
just like Caleb. Don't be like
here
Caleb.
She is. Look again, black and white, stellar. The short hair looks good too.
Absolutely.
But yeah, looking.
Beautiful. Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to be a gentleman, but I will say fur coat, definitely awesome look right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you said 6, so
yeah, MTG said 6. Jalen said 5. You know? Yeah.
Caleb, if you don't fucking shut the fuck up, I will ban you again. And then if you
Jalen has been summoned, and Jalen is here. Welcome on in, Jalen.
I have been summoned. Yes, beautiful. This I like. I think again, this definitely gives like punk rocker '90s kind of vibe, especially with the bangs. But
Absolutely.
I love how this has nothing to do with DC, but like we're just admiring at this point.
No, I mean, agreed. Enterprising. She deserves so much better than I hope Supergirl is just a blip on her hopefully very long and successful.
Oh, so you're a fucking liar.
Oh, dude. I mean, if you could go 5, can't you go 6? It's like, what's one more? Like it's.
I mean, maybe he's just popping dust out of that point. Like maybe that.
I wouldn't be surprised, I suppose.
I don't know. Is this like part of the dress or like is that like just something?
I can't tell.
I don't know.
I really can't tell.
Whatever. It doesn't fucking matter.
His Chuck is like, oh yeah, that's the shot.
Yeah, you can kind of see a couple of her tattoos. You can kind of see one right there. Yeah, I like how she has like little tiny ones. Yeah. Like it's not like a big sleeve. Not saying that's bad. It's just like I don't know. It's just like I like the little.
Hope you feel better, Jalen.
Well, she's taken right now, but
yes,
but good stuff. Again, this is like peak. Like,
I love the
grunge kind of vibes.
Totally,
not like perfect because it's not like overly baggy clothes and like ripped kind of stuff. But
but I like it's like a nice crossover appeal there. Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. We're just
pointing out the obvious, Caleb.
We're just taking a break. We're admiring.
Just taking it again. For all those idiots who think
I like kind of
the Alcock is ugly.
This kind of gives off a Madonna
evidence
look
to the contrary.
A little bit.
Definitely does. Bit. Considering her new
album, because I like the saturation of like again how it looks like they took it in black and white and then they colored it in post. I kind of like that vibe a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Jalen's about to get into a fight with her boyfriend. Apparently.
Damn. Honestly, he's I think he's like a food critic or something. So like, or he's like a food guy. So maybe he doesn't know how to fight. So maybe you could beat him up, Jalen. I don't know how big you are. So, but don't. That was a joke. Don't fight people over women. That's not good.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, although the Odyssey, the Odyssey's coming out.
You know what else is good is Millie here. Very wonderful.
Wonderful. Jalen's got 2 swords. One is metal and the other, well, we'll just leave it at that.
I think he's British, actually.
Well, there you go. Hey, the Brits don't fight kangaroos. I mean, Jalen might just have a chance. He just might have a chance.
Well, to be fair, the Australians also lost a war to birds. So, like, what the fuck do they know?
You're not wrong about that. You
know what else we're not wrong about? Millie being attractive. So here we are.
Totally could not agree with you anymore, John. Absolutely. Yeah.
But now we get to what did Gunn
disagree
say?
with you.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes, let's do it.
This very old picture of
I presume James Gunn is the baby in the photo.
Which wait, hang on a sec. That's James Gunn. Is this his dad? Or I'm so confused.
Or is that James Gunn with the hair?
Because
that looks like James Gunn.
That looks like James Gunn.
Okay. He said godmother. Okay, that would make sense. So James Gunn is the dude in the photo.
He has a very long ongoing like paragraph. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but his godmother Bridget Calcetera, very long and wonderful message for her. She passed away. So rest in peace to her, but
she took him to see Star Wars when it came out, like his first PG movie. I mean, that's fantastic. She even fought for him on social media when he was going through his troubles a few years ago. I mean, and just if you just read through his old message, incredibly heartfelt, and obviously you could tell how special Bridget was to James Gunn throughout his life. And it's I can imagine like how he must be feeling, and to be able to then turn around and be like, all right, I got to keep directing this multi-million-dollar big movie that needs to make a shit ton of money, and my job's on the line and everything, and dozens of people asking him questions, making requests left and right. It's like, I hope he's had some time to mourn the loss, and I hope that you know, James Gunn and his friends and family are able to take their time with this, because that's just terrible. Terrible news for him, and our condolences go out to James Gunn and his family.
But moving on to brighter things, apparently it's not easy being green, because apparently your boy on set
from
kinda
Guy
gave a little bit of a not a little bit,
Dude,
not just a middle finger,
can I
but
buy one of
apparently
these?
a possible tease that maybe
Yeah.
Guy Gardner shall return once again to the big screen in Man of Tomorrow, which seems to be the case. I mean, he wasn't like 100% like definitely confirmed, but it seems like that's the case.
John, we know now there's at least 2 Lanterns alive by the time we get to the events of Man of Tomorrow, and well, you know, we know the one that's probably not going to be there, but I wonder if we can buy this on DC's store or something, because it says from Guy, and then it's got like the middle finger thing that he creates in the end of Superman in that 3rd act. So yeah. Great stuff. I wonder if he just got like a merch, like, hey man, this is what we came up with, want to test it? He's like, oh, let's tease Guy Gardner for Man of Tomorrow. I'm not surprised, because like we know that Aaron Pierre is going to be in it. We know Hawkgirl's there with Isabella Merced, who actually recently celebrated her birthday. Happy belated birthday to Isabella Merced. But yeah, it would make sense that the rest of the Justice Gang is there, right? I wonder if Metamorpho is going to make an appearance too. That would be interesting. Dude, we already got plenty of Lanterns. I mean, just right out the door with Superman, and then of course the TV show.
No, we didn't just get Guy fucking Gardner. We got an upgrade.
Yes. Harold saying, I'm still holding out hope that Argus arrests the Justice Gang at the start of Man of Tomorrow, and hence that's why our heroes help Superman and Lex. Other heroes help. Oh, I see what you mean. Well, Lex is wearing the Argus suit, so that would make sense. Although arresting them on because I don't know, that's that's an interesting idea, Harold, but I don't know if I believe it just yet. I feel like that's too much. Like literally Superman probably by himself could do a lot of the heavy lifting anyway. So, but you know what, if you're gonna get Guy, and if you're gonna get Hawkgirl and John Stewart's Lantern, John, do you think we're gonna also at this point like get Mr. Terrific in the movie? That's not confirmed or hinted at anywhere, but imagine if you got most of the Justice Gang at this point, like why leave Mr. Terrific out of it? Like it doesn't make it. They seem to hang out in the same place. So
yeah,
and we know they're gonna go back and film at that train station, the Hall of Justice. So yeah, I mean, look, Nathan Fillion is whichever version of the Green Lantern he plays obviously becomes everybody's favorite Lantern. So yeah. Oh, the Baravia thing. Well, technically Hawkgirl did kill a world leader, so or she let him go and was like, I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you either. And he's just like,
cool motive. Still murder.
I think the technical term is negligent homicide, John. That's the charge that she would be charged with.
Still a murder.
Still a murder. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, good luck to Hawkgirl and with her legal troubles or would be legal troubles. But we know that Nathan Fillion is busy. He's showing up in the Lantern show in a few weeks, couple of months time. He's probably going to be at Comic-Con next week, and then of course we'll get hopefully Nathan Fillion now that James Gunn is pretty much hinted at, if not confirmed, in Man of Tomorrow. So we'll leave that there. I think that's it for tonight. Not a ton of DC news, but hey, Jalen, what are you on? Number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5? Are you on 6 already, Jalen? Come on now. That was fast. I have to say that between the Vogue Australia and Flaunt magazine, we have thoroughly busted that myth, John.
Yes.
And a few other things. So
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And on that lovely note,
let's hit it.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
longer.
And remember, fuck Tom King, Jeff Snyder, and the chode with lips, David